Not even flinching over there was the Western Michigan third base coach as it whizzed past his head. 380 to the power alleys and 405 to dead center. It is a beautiful day for baseball in Athens. There is rain expected later on. That is why this game got moved from a first pitch of 6 p.m. to 2 p.m. as the 1-2 is swung on and missed. So strike three. Salisbury sets Connor Smith down on strikes to start the day, and that is his first strikeout recorded of the day, of course, and his 55th strikeout of the season. Salisbury not really an overpowering pitcher. When he hits his spots, though, he can be very solid. He's crafty from the left-handed side. Here is Andrew Stone, and the first pitch to him misses high. 1 ball and no strikes. It's a fastball high and away from Salisbury. Stone is batting .299, and he swings and fouls this one out of play. 1 ball and a strike. Batting .299, he has only 1 extra base hit this season. That was a double. And for a guy who has started now 33 ball games, that's pretty surprising. He does have 11 RBIs from the 2-hole spot. That pitch misses inside, and now it's 2 balls and a strike with 1 gone here in the top of the first inning. And the lefty Salisbury looks into the left-handed hitting Andrew Stone, and that misses inside. 3 balls and a strike. Here comes the 3-1. Swing and a miss. Taking a huge hack at it was Andrew Stone, the designated hitter for Western Michigan. Waiting on deck is Jimmy Roach, the third baseman. And now the count is full with 1 gone. Salisbury deals here. This one is flared foul to the hill down the left field line. Out of play, and so the count stays full at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Here's a line drive, and that is going to get through. Right in between Giannini at third base and Hafner at short. And skipped off the outfield grass on a hop to Devin Garcia for a base hit. And Western Michigan has a 1-out base runner here in the top of the first inning. Here's the 3-hitter Jimmy Roach. And kind of an interesting note is to look at the ages of these two teams. Western Michigan's lineup, the first 5 guys to come to the plate, Smith, Stone, Roach, Forstell, Grease, are all juniors. There's another junior in the lineup, Connor Henderson, down at the bottom. So 6 juniors as the first pitch misses high to Jimmy Roach. 1 ball and no strikes with a runner on at first base. Whereas the Bobcats are very young. Well, I wouldn't say very young. They're intermixed. They have... As that pitch misses inside, so now the count is 2 balls and no strikes as Salisbury falls behind very quickly. You have 3 freshmen, 2 sophomores, 2 juniors, and a couple of seniors on the Bobcats, as here's a throw over to first base. And that was a close check over at first base, but back in on a head-first dive was Stone. So Western Michigan is a junior full class. The Bobcats are sprinkled in a little bit more. Here's the 2-0. That pitch misses low and in, 3 balls and no strikes. Western Michigan has 2 freshmen in their starting lineup in comparison to the Bobcats 3, 1 sophomore in comparison to the Bobcats 2. Salisbury has fallen behind Jimmy Roche big here. 3 balls and no strikes. That's just a show-me fastball over for a strike. 3 balls and a strike. Obviously, it goes without saying that you want to get any game started off on a nice foot, but if you're the Bobcats, and you look at yourself where you are in the league standings, you need some momentum. And really, you know that a loss, if you're Ohio, puts you in a spot where you almost have to win out. You just got to focus on it day by day. 3 balls and a strike. Salisbury comes set below the belt and fires. Here's a line drive into the right center field gap. This is going to get all the way to the wall. It 2 hops actually, and this might score 1 run for Western Michigan. Stone is rounding third base, heading for home. The cut is to 3, and so Stone will score on an RBI double off the bat of Jimmy Roche. 1-0, Western Michigan has taken a first-inning lead. It was a great job there by Jimmy Roche to just push the ball the other way into the gap for 2. Kind of in no man's land, honestly, between the Bobcat right fielder Michael Klein and center fielder Sebastian Fabik. And an RBI 1-out double to start things off for Western Michigan. and they'll continue to hit with runners in scoring position as Forstell comes to the plate with a runner at second, being Roche, with only one gone. Forstell bats from the left side, batting .252. He has 6 doubles, a triple, a home run, and 21 RBIs this season. Lefty-lefty matchup between Salisbury and Forstell. First pitch misses high, 1-0. Salisbury looks back to second, comes set for the 1-0, and swinging over the top of it was Forstell there on a bit of a slide piece. 1 ball and a strike. The 1-1. Here's a line drive, snagged on a leap at second base, going to 2 and making a double play. Nicely done there by Aaron Levy. He climbed the ladder at second and then caught the runner out to dry between second and third for the force out for a double play. Scoring 1 in the top of 1 is Western Michigan. The Bobcats get out of it with another double play. We head to the bottom of the first. Maybe Ohio can get a run to get back. This is Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB. Well, here is the leadoff hitter, Trevor Hafner. He's batting .236 with 9 doubles, a home run, and 20 RBIs. So maybe Ohio can get that early run they gave up in the first back quickly. Hafner bats from the right side. And the first pitch is over for a strike from Western Michigan starting pitcher Nick Leo. And here comes the 0-1 from Leo. That misses outside, 1 ball and a strike. The battery today for Central Michigan, Nick Leo, .324 earned run average, 74 strikeouts in 72 innings. As here comes the 1-1. There's a line drive, flare into left, and it's going to be caught. Coming in on it and making the play in left was Grease. Didn't have a good read on it immediately, but then was able to get to it. It was lined, but pretty softly to left and had a touch of carry to it, and it was played easily out there. The battery catching today, Jesse Forstell, is who completes it for Western Michigan. So Leo sets down the first cat that he faces in the form of Trevor Hafner, and now he'll face Rudy Rote, who is hotter than anybody probably in all of baseball right now, to be completely honest with you. He's been hitting home runs in chunks of games. He's got 4 home runs in his last 5 games. He hit 2 midweek. There's a strike on the outside corner to start him off here. He's got 13 home runs on the season, 44 RBIs. He is slugging an astronomical .670. The 0-1 to Rudy. Big swing and a miss. He was trying to put that one over. He's down quickly. No balls and 2 strikes. Rudy Rode has also been intentionally walked, a team-leading 4 times. Only one other player has been intentionally walked at any point this season for Ohio. This pitch misses high and away, 1 ball and 2 strikes. He reaches base very well, and he slugs the ball well. He's certainly going to get a chance at the next level. There's no doubt in my mind about that. Here comes the 1-2 to Rudy. Swing and a miss, goes down on strikes as Leo blows it by him. And so quickly there are 2 gone in the Bobcat bottom of the first. Here is Tanner Picnic, batting .286 with 7 long balls, 22 RBIs on the season for Picnic. The DH today for Ohio. Done a good job at whatever he's been tasked to do this year. Ground ball on the first pitch he sees to second, and it's going to be totally fluffed at second base. Devine should have had an easy play on it, and it just completely ate him up. There's not a hole in his glove, but to give you an idea of what that looked like, it appeared there was. He had it in his leather for a moment, and then it just trickled on by him. And honestly, he kind of gave up on the play, which allowed Picnic to reach first base so easily. So an E4 gets the Bobcats a base runner here in the first. Maybe Michael Klein can make Western Michigan pay for that. So Ohio has a 2-out base runner. And Michael Klein with a big swing and a miss on the first pitch he sees. It was a changeup from Leo. 0-1. Two gone. Set for the 0-1 just above his belt is Leo. He looks in. Now he'll throw over to first, and back in on a headfirst dive is Picnic. Obviously, this series is very important for both Western Michigan and Ohio in the Mid-American Conference. Western Michigan right now on the outside looking in as well. They try to roll in. Here is a slow roller to third. Fielded there, firing on to first, and beating Klein by a step. It was a nice play over at third base by Roche to get the third out of the inning for the Cats. They had a base runner because of an error, and they do strand it. 1-0, Western Michigan leads it. We're through 1. This is Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB. It's a beautiful day in Athens, Ohio. 82 degrees, the humidity below 50%, 45, and the chance of rain has gone down considerably. Now it's only a 15% chance, so maybe it'll end up being a beautiful day throughout the evening in Athens, Ohio, and we'll get baseball in the afternoon and a free evening tonight. The first pitch from Salisbury to Western Michigan's right-handed hitting Nate Grice is outside for a ball, 1-0, and now he swings over the top of a changeup, and he's down, or the count is now even at 1 ball and a strike. The 1-1 to Grice. And that misses outside, 2 balls and a strike. So Salisbury gave up a run in the first, whereas his counterpart Leo was able to work out of the error. Here's a fly ball carrying well to right, carrying back, and it's going to go off the wall as it had some deep carry to right field on a flare. He didn't get into it very well, but the ball had some serious carry to right field for Grice, and that is a double off the wall. It was semi-golfed the opposite way, and it looked like off the bat as if it was going to be a flare fly, and then it just kept going. And immediately the first step was in right field for Michael Klein, and then all of a sudden he realized it was going to be over the top of his head, and he had to turn around and get on his horse to get back towards that. Just a touch. And now showing bunt and putting it down very nicely down the first base line. It goes foul as it almost hit Blake Dunn, the right fielder who hits now for Western Michigan. And I shouldn't say that Klein had to race back, but the first step was in, and then all of a sudden he turned around. The ball was over his head for a double to start things off in the top of the second inning for WMU. 0-1 here. Kind of an interesting fact about Western Michigan as they try and put a sacrifice bunt down here. We'll see if that play is still on. Western Michigan is 5th in all of college baseball in sacrifice bunts. But instead, the bunt has been pulled off, and this pitch is fouled out of play for strike 2. So it's 0-2 to Blake Dunn. Dunn bats .287. 12 RBIs this season, has 6 extra base hits, all doubles. At second base is Grice. He started things off with a double, and that just missed inside. Thought Salisbury might have had a called strike 3 there on an 0-2 pitch, but it just missed. Did a changeup, and now it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Nobody out, and the runner at second is Grice. Salisbury peeks back there for a moment, goes to the pitcher, and just misses inside. Just barely misses with back-to-back pitches, and now the count is even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Salisbury comes set below his belt, the 2-2. Here's a slow roller past the mound at Salisbury. It's going to be fielded at short by Hafner. Tough play oncoming, safe at first base. And in disbelief is Rob Smith as he comes out of the dugout. He is in total shock that safe at first base is Blake Dunn. It was a dribbler past the mound, past Salisbury. It was going to be a tough play. For Hafner, it's short. He came onto it, fired onto first base, and it looked like they had the runner beat by a step. And instead, he is safe at first, and Rob Smith is going to have an extended discussion with our home plate umpire, Jason Stidham. Jeffrey Spizak is at first base. Mark Schmidt is at third. With the positioning on that play, that is kind of the tougher angle for a first base umpire to make that call. And Rob Smith is having a prolonged discussion with home plate umpire Jason Stidham right here. Very frustrated with that call. And obviously, you need things to go your way if you're the Bobcats at this point of the season. I think that this conversation that Rob Smith is having with Jason Stidham, even though he's going to walk away from it still in this ball game, is a touch of frustration that has been boiling all season. It didn't all come out right there, but Rob Smith was able to get a lot of his frustration out. And Stidham let him, I guess, say his piece, which I think is very fair to, if you're a home plate umpire, to let a manager do so. But now we're set to go again with nobody out. Now runners at first and second for Western Michigan, showing bunt, pulling back, ball high, is Logan Hudson, the first baseman. Hudson bats .370. But he hasn't played an incredible amount. He's only 10 for 27 this year. This is his 9th start. Bats from the right side. Rudy Rote and Tony Giannini are in. Tony G is in a touch, but is ready to protect third. Salisbury stepped off. Rudy Rote is ready to field over at first base. Logan Hudson shows bunt, puts it down. This is straight to Salisbury. He will not have a play to third. He'll immediately just underhand it to first base for an out. And Western Michigan continues to add to a total of sacrifice bunts that coming into today ranked 5th in all of college baseball. There's another to add to that total. And there's one gone, and runners are at 2nd and 3rd for Western Michigan as they try to add to their early lead, which sits at 1-0. Western Michigan already has 4 hits today, and there's only one gone in the second. Here comes Drew Devine. He bats .257. He has 8 extra base hits, 1 home run. Pitch misses outside from Salisbury, the left-hander. 1-0. Salisbury wants the signs again. Now he'll step off the rubber. Toes it. And Devine immediately steps into the box. He's ready to go. Salisbury now comes set below his belt. Peeks back to second base and delivers. And that's a breaking pitch that misses inside. And McCauley did just a great job to keep that in front of him. He snagged it. It was diving inside on the hitter, Drew Devine. And the Bobcats are lucky not to be trailing 2-0 right now because of a pitch to the backstop. Good stop by McCauley, the catcher. 2 balls and no strikes. Salisbury is down here. And he misses high with a fastball, and now it's 3-0. Four hits so far today for Western Michigan. 1 run, they got it in the first. They try to add to a 1-0 early lead. The 3-0, that's a strike. Fastball right down Broadway, and Drew Devine was holding that bat on his shoulder all the way. The 3-1, strike inside corner, and that's the same pitch that Salisbury wanted to get on the first batter of this inning 2 times in a row. Once on a changeup, the other time on a fastball, didn't get it. But he got it there on 3-1, and now he's worked back to get this count full. With runners at 2nd and 3rd and only 1 out, Salisbury needs an out here. That one is fouled back to the screen. Barely getting a piece of it was Devine. So the count will stay full. And now Salisbury will take a moment to collect himself. Certainly a big moment early in this contest, as Ohio would prefer not to trail by any more than they already do at 1-0. This is a curveball lifted over the back of the bag at second base. This is just going to be a pop out fielded by the second baseman, Aaron Levy, about 5 steps to the back of the bag, and there's 2 outs, and the runners do not advance. And so Salisbury is 1 out away from getting out of this second inning jam. And now the 9-hole hitter, Connor Henderson, will bat. Henderson bats from the right side. Hits only 190 this year. 8 for 42. There's a curveball, and it's bounced foul to the Bobcat dugout. Nice snag on a couple bounces over there by Derek Carr, Sunday's starter. Showing off a little bit of fielding prowess in that Bobcat dugout. No balls and a strike. There are runners at 2nd and 3rd. Nobody in, though. Salisbury tries to keep it just a 1-run deficit. Here is a pop fly into shallow right center. Now it'll carry a touch, and coming in on it, now getting called off is Klein, and making the play in right center is Sebastian Fabic for the 3rd out. So Jerry Salisbury works out of a jam here in the top of the second. Ohio trails 1-0. This is Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB. he reached on an error. Here is Tony Giannini. He bats .254 entering today. He had a home run, one of 4 midweek against Youngstown State for the Bobcats. It was his 3rd home run of the season. Bats from the right side does the Bobcat third baseman, and he'll face the right-handed pitching Nick Leo. And the first pitch to Tony G misses inside. Slider that Leo was trying to get to catch the inside corner missed 1-0. Here's the 1-0. Here's a bouncer to third base, fielded there, and firing on to first base is Roach. Easy play for the third baseman, Roach. And there's one gone for the Bobcats already here in the bottom of the second. I really can't explain to you how beautiful of a day it is in Athens. It is 80 degrees. There's a few clouds in the sky, not many. Other than that, it's blue skies, sunny. It is a day to get the tan on. It's a day to be at the ballpark, the golf course, working in the yard. Anything you can be doing to be outside as that pitch catches the outside corner to Devin Garcia, who hits here 0-1. Anything you can do outside today is a good thing, I'd say. Here comes the 0-1. And that misses high, 1 ball and a strike. Leo is ready to go. Maybe not. Time is called by Devin Garcia, and it's granted to him. Leo appeared to be set. And then he had his catcher go through the signs all over again, and then finally time was called. And now the break-even pitch misses low, and so Garcia's had 2 balls and a strike. Garcia playing left field, batting .226 on the season. Pop fly, heading out of play, and indeed it will get out of play as it bounces off the concrete here on the concourse at Bob Wren. So now the count is even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. You know it's a good day when you can smell the sunscreen all the way up in the press box. That means that it is a pretty day at the ballpark. Here comes the 2-2. And that's a base hit by Garcia. He smoked it up the middle, and it hopped off the mound and then ended up all the way in center field. Can't hit a ball much harder than that. Garcia is aboard with 1 gone in the bottom of the second. And that is the first Bobcat hit of the day, so no no-hitter today for either side. Here comes Dan McCauley, the Bobcat catcher. Somebody just said hit a home run. He has 2 of those this season. Not really his strong suit in that category. He started to hit a little better recently, though. Pickoff move over to first base, and back in on a head-first dive is Garcia. Garcia this season is 3 for 4 in stolen bases. We have seen Ohio do a little bit more on the base paths recently than we did early in the year, as Rob Smith has just been kind of trying to find a way to get something going. There's a strike on a slider that McCauley thought missed inside, but it caught the inside corner, so ahead here is Leo 0-1. It'll be the top of the order for Western Michigan when they come back around in the third. But the Bobcats hit with 1 on and 1 out here. Leo takes his time. Set above the belt, now he delivers. And popped up back of home. Going to be a tough play for the catcher. And underneath it and making the play is Forstell. And he made that look easy. It wasn't in the air very long, so immediately Forstell had to ditch the mask and find it, and he located it quickly for the second out. And McCauley is down as he pops out to his counterpart, the catcher Forstell. Here comes Aaron Levy. Here's a guy who, even though hitting only .236, has shown some pop in his bat. For a freshman, he's hit 5 home runs, has 13 total extra base hits. Not having a terrible season as a freshman. Like to see that average get up, but like to see that kind of all over the place for the Cats. Rudy Rode is the guy really carrying the load everywhere else. With 2 gone, it's Levy. That ball is low, 1-0. And communicating with his catcher was Leo to let him know the runner's not going, as Garcia was holding there. Out of his crouch was Forstell very quickly. 1-0, Western Michigan leads this one so far. Ohio does have a runner over at first base. They stranded 1 in the first inning after an error was made on a picnic ground ball to second. Ohio trying not to strand another. Really slowing down with runners on is Leo. Peek over to second base. Now he throws over, and that was close. Head first dive, Garcia. He's back in, but that was a lot closer than any pickoff move in the last 3 times. This one's fouled back to the screen. Levy was on it. 1 ball and a strike. There is a lot of hitting room the opposite way to the left center field gap between Henderson and Grise. And honestly, all the outfielders playing considerably deep. Dunn in right is 10 feet maybe from the warning track. Here's a ground ball to second. Fielded there and firing onto first base, really with just a quick little toss, is Devine for the 3rd out. The Bobcats strand a runner. They've now stranded 2 today, 1 in the first and 1 in the second. Western Michigan leads it 1-0. This is Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB. His on-base percentage this season, also at .411. He struck out back in the first inning, though. Before Salisbury gave up a hit to Stone and a double to Roach. And here is a high fly ball to left, foul. Talk about a home run foul. That was one of them. Ripped it. 0-1. That's one of those scary strikes. Here's the 0-1. That misses high. 1 ball and 1 strike. The break-even pitch from Salisbury. Tapper to Giannini at third. He fields it on 2 hops and fires onto first base and beating the speedy Connor Smith by a step with that one. 1 gone in the top of the third. And if there's one guy on this team, I think, who can take home the most improved award, it's Tony Giannini this season. His offense at times this year maybe hasn't been where he would like it to be, but he has been solid there. But really where he has been so good and improved so much is over at third base. He has really started to play good over there. Showing bunt and trying to drag bunt and just whiffing is Andrew Stone, the DH. Now, there are a couple bad plays mixed in, and he has a good chunk of errors, most from the beginning of the season. But Tony G has really come into his own over at third base. The 0-1, missing, low and outside, 1-1. And that's a strike, swing and a miss. And so now Salisbury is ahead, 1 ball and 2 strikes. And that one misses low and away, and so now it's even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. The Bobcats play it pretty much straight up, maybe a shade to the right, as Rudy Road is pulled towards the first base line, and Giannini's off the bag as that one's fouled back. So we continue at 2 balls and 2 strikes. The 2-2. Swing and a miss. Salisbury gets him with a curveball. It stayed high, but it was a deceiving pitch, and Salisbury has now got a couple of strikeouts on the day, but now he'll have to deal with Jimmy Roach, who doubled, had an RBI double in the first. His new average is .331. Salisbury trying to have a 3-up, 3-down inning for the first time today as he tries to put up a second consecutive 0. The Broncos leading the Bobcats 1-0 as time has been called at the plate. But Salisbury's looked pretty solid. He got hit hard in the first inning by Stone and Roach, but he handled Stone really well. As now time is called, Dan McCauley will talk to Salisbury on the mound. But he handled Stone really well. Now he'll try and approach Jimmy Roach the same way. We're set to go. Salisbury fires. Here's a line drive to left, carrying back towards the wall. Back on it is Garcia, and he makes the play in front of the warning track. And our third base umpire had turned his head, and the home plate umpire made the call as if it was on a transfer. Garcia dropped the ball, but he was just transferring it. That was the right call, called by our home plate umpire, Jason Stidham, for the third out. We head to the bottom of the third, 1-0 Broncos leading things here. This is Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB. In the bottom of the third, waiting on deck is Hafner, and the hole is Rudy Rote. So Fabic hits here, and he's late on a fastball from Leo. It's 0-1. Leo has 1 strikeout today, but he's in the process of maybe getting to a second as Fabic is late on a second consecutive fastball, no balls and 2 strikes, and Leo can go just about anywhere he wants right here. That misses high, 1 ball and 2 strikes. Fabic does a good job there to show a little bit of plate discipline on that high fastball. After he was late on back-to-back pitches that were in the zone, he held back on that one. 1 ball, 2 strikes to the Bobcat right-handed hitting center fielder. And now he spoils this pitch off the screen, and so he stays alive at 1-2. Taking his time is Leo. Now he comes set and delivers. That's a curveball taken into center field, a base hit. It skipped off the infield grass, and with the way Western Michigan was playing it, it was going to dribble into center field for a hit, and Ohio has their leadoff hitter on in the bottom of the third, and as the lineup turns over to the actual leadoff hitter, Trevor Hafner. So Fabic with a base hit. That's his 9th hit of the season. Good to see him get aboard. That one base hit takes his batting average all the way from 190 to 209. It's amazing what base hits will do when you haven't had that many at-bats. Holding Fabic on at first base is the first baseman, Hudson. Showing bunt, popping it up, and it's snagged by the catcher, and he'll look over to first base, and there's no play for a double play, but Forstell popped out of that crouch real quick and put down Hafner on a pop out on the bunt for the first out of the inning. One gone in the bottom of the third. Here's Rudy Rote. And I like the strategy there from Rob Smith to try and get a runner in scoring position for the hottest hitter on your team. Not only the best hitter on your team, but a guy who is just in the middle of a fantastic streak right now. Get 2 home runs midweek. Bobcats would like to see another here. But just putting the ball in play right now is what the Cats need. They just have 2 hits today in the bottom of the third to Western Michigan's 4. Fastball misses low over the plate, but well low, 1-0. Fabic with a short lead over at first base as he's held on by the first baseman Hudson. And Rudy Rote, a line drive to right foul. Man, he is just seeing the ball so well right now. He roped that off the softball field brick wall out there down the right field line, foul. 1 ball and a strike. The Bobcat first baseman bats from the left side. Leo gets the sign that he likes, comes set just above the belt. Here comes the break-even pitch, missing outside with it, 2 balls and a strike. Runner at first base is Fabic. He's got a very short lead, and he leans towards first. There's a strike to Rudy Rote on a breaking pitch that breaks from the left-hand or the right-handed batter's box back into the zone. That's a really good pitch. The count is even, 2 balls and 2 strikes. 1 gone for the Cats and 1 on. Rudy Rote is the hitter. Batting .365 with 44 RBIs. Here's a line drive to left center, carrying back towards the wall, and you can kiss it goodbye. Just over the top of the wall for another home run for Rudy Rote. He hit it probably 378 feet and put it out of here. Crashing into the wall in left field was Grise, and Rudy Rote has another home run, his 5th home run in 6 ball games. He had 2 home runs midweek. He adds another with a little bit of opposite field power today. His 45th and 46th RBIs of the season, his 14th home run, and he has given Ohio a 2-1 lead. Here is Tanner Picnic, who bats now with 2 runs in for the Cats. This pitch misses high, 1-0. And Rudy Rote continues to rake. 14 home runs, 46 RBIs. 5 home runs in his last 6 games. He is hitting the cover off of the ball. That's a breaking pitch that's in there for a strike to Picnic, 1-1. Here comes the break even. And Picnic flies one into the left center field gap. Oncoming, making a tough play on a dive in left field is Grise. That was a very good play by the Western Michigan left fielder, Nate Grise. He came onto it, had a late read, It was kind of a flare fly into the left center gap, and he made the play on a dive. And there's 2 gone. Here is Michael Klein. Klein 0 for 1 today. He grounded out to short. Batting .216 on the season. Fastball in there for a strike. Catches the outside edge. 0-1. So Rudy Rote with a 2-run home run here in the bottom of the 3rd inning gives the Bobcats a 2-1 lead. As that pitch misses low. 1 ball and a strike. Western Michigan had 1 run back in the 1st inning. That was an RBI double by Jimmy Roach. Rudy Rote has taken that lead away with 1 swing of the bat. That pitch misses outside, 2 balls and a strike. Here comes the 2-1. Fly ball to left center. Going back on it, and now moving in is the center fielder, and making the play for the 3rd out is Henderson. But the Bobcats add 2 runs on a Rudy Rote home run in the bottom of the 3rd. They lead it 2-1. This is Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB. The catcher for Western Michigan, batting in the cleanup spot. Curveball misses high from Jerry Salisbury, 1-0. So right now, Salisbury will try and protect this 1-run Bobcat lead. Here's the 1-0, and that's in there for a strike, 1-1. Here comes a break-even pitch from Salisbury, and that is a nice breaking pitch that swung on and missed by Jesse Forstell. 2 strikeouts today by Jerry Salisbury. He's going to try and add to that number right here as he's got Forstell looking pretty silly. The 1-2, swing and a miss on a fastball. Put it belt high, and he swung right through it. Did Forstell. That's the 3rd strikeout of the day for Salisbury. And there's 1 gone in the top of the 4th inning for the Broncos. Salisbury wants McCauley to go back through the signs. That misses just low, 1-0. That one is fouled into the Bobcat dugout. Counts even at 1 ball and 1 strike. And now time has been called, and Nan McCauley's going to trot out to the mound and have a conversation with Salisbury as they try and get on the same page. We're set to go again. Salisbury looks in for the sign from Dan McCauley. He comes set at his chest. The break-even pitch. Line drive into left center. Carrying back towards the wall, and this one is gone. We're tied. Getting into it a ton was Nate Grise, and we've got a tie ball game 2-2 on one swing of the bat. And Salisbury and McCauley were struggling there for a moment to get on the same page, and they just weren't able to do it. And Salisbury is really frustrated back of the mound, pounding that ball into his mitt. He's given up a home run to tie the game back up 2-2 here in the top of the fourth. So Grise made a really good play in left, and it seems like in baseball many times you'll see a guy come through with a good play in the field and also come through with a bat later on, and he does so just the half inning after. The first pitch to Blake Dunn is over for a strike, 0-1. That pitch misses low, 1 ball and a strike. Jerry Salisbury really taking his time, trying to collect himself here and at least protect the tie. As here comes the 1-1. There's a line drive into left. That's a base hit. I don't know if Salisbury's not feeling it, and this one is muffed out in left field by Devin Garcia, and that will allow Blake Dunn to take a second base. And that's kind of interesting because Garcia, on the fly ball to end the previous inning, had made the catch and then dropped it as he was transferring it out of his glove. Our home plate umpire called it an out. And then there, Devin Garcia just couldn't keep the ball in front of him. It rolls all the way to the wall, and getting into second base safely is Blake Dunn, and we'll see if that's scored either as a double or if that's a single and advancing on an error. So now Salisbury will have to deal with a runner in scoring position, and there's a hard shot to third base off the glove of Tony Giannini and into shallow left field. Holding at third base is Blake Dunn, and Hudson is now aboard with what I'm fairly certain will be a base hit. That was a hot shot to third. Although it was off the glove of Giannini, that was a very tough play. We'll see what that one is scored. And indeed, Dunn, by the way, singled and advanced to second on a fielding error. And now Rob Smith has called time with 1 out and runners at first and third on the corners as he tries to calm his pitcher down. There is nobody in the Bobcat bullpen, but what I was trying to get to a moment ago is the fact that it was as if Salisbury gets this strikeout to start things off this inning, and then he's dealing with Grise, and he was off with McCauley. Time was called. McCauley and him chatted out there. It was as if he wasn't feeling it, and then he gives up a home run, and now he's given up now 3 straight hard hit balls. And that is going to be scored an error, which probably is the right scoring there. It was a hot shot to third base. Tough play for Tony Giannini, but it was off his glove. So reaching on the error over at third base is Hudson. And now that'll bring Drew Devine to the plate. And I'm sure Rob Smith is saying, hey, man, you just got to strike out to start off the inning. Calm down and just throw your pitches. That's what Salisbury's got to try to do. Devine popped out to second. Back in the second. Runners are on the corner. Squaring to bunt and pulling back on a high and tight fastball is Devine. 1-0. Showing bunt, pulling back, that's a strike. So Devine has showed bunt twice, pulled back twice, and the count is even at 1-1. With 1 out, there are runners on the corners. It appears to be a straight sacrifice bunt, and now time is actually called by the third base coach as he tries to get the signs, and he checks his sleeve to make sure he knows exactly what's happening here. And there's a throw over to first base, which will erase everything that just happened sign-wise anyways, as Devine will peek back into the dugout. He wasn't squaring that time, even though it was just a throw over. The 1-1, and the bunt is off, and that one is foul tipped back to the backstop for strike 2. And so now Salisbury is ahead, 1 ball and 2 strikes, and he needed to get ahead. There's 1 out, there's 1 run in, and runners on the corners for Western Michigan. The game is tied 2-2. Salisbury has given up 7 hits today already. But it is tied 2-2. You're not normally going to win games that you get out hit, but if you can pitch out of jams, that's the way to do it. Here's the 1-2 from Salisbury. This is fouled out of play on a pop fly down the right field line. So now we're going to stick at 1-2. That pitch misses low, and now it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. Here's a pop fly right side of the infield towards the first base bag. Rudy Rote is back of the first base bag, calls everybody off, and makes the play for the second out. So there are 2 gone as Jerry Salisbury tries to work out of another jam. He was in one in the second and was able to get out of it there. Spun a pretty good rack in the 3rd inning, and now he's given up a run and has runners on the corners, but he's got 2 gone, and now hitting is Connor Henderson. And if he can get it out here, he'll protect the tie ball game and get things to the bottom of the 4th. Left-hander Salisbury holds the ball back behind his back. Now he comes set below his belt. And this is a throw over to first base, and back in on a couple of steps is Hudson. Hudson is at first base. He is Rudy Root's counterpart at that position. But he's also aboard right now. 2 gone, runners in the corners. Both runners have very short leads. And back over to first on another throw over. Rudy Rote is holding the runner at first base, and Tony Giannini might as well be holding the runner at third. He's off the bag by maybe 3 steps. And even with it, they play it at double play depth up the middle, a touch at least. Runner going, McCauley with a fake throw down, and they'll just let the runner advance there. That's a strike, 0-1. Yeah, and I shouldn't say that's double play depth. They were playing to cover, but there was no throw, and so now they'll play it straight up the middle. And Rudy Rote will head to his traditional position at first base. 1-1. Salisbury peaks to second. The break-even pitch is fouled back to the screen, and now Salisbury's a strike away from working out of a jam here in the 4th inning. It's his to work out of. There's nobody warming up in the bullpen. And time has been called. And just a correction on the count here, I believe. Our scoreboard was showing 1 ball and 2 strikes. The count is actually no balls and 2 strikes. Salisbury set. Here comes the 0-2. And that's a tapper foul. It went off the leg of the batter, Connor Henderson. And in a bit of frustration, Salisbury, who had fielded it on the mound, threw it hard over to the first baseman, Rudy Rote. And Salisbury pitches with a lot of emotion. He was ready to go, ready to toe the rubber. And Dan McCauley, I think, smartly made him trade out that baseball because it had been in the dirt, slapped off the leg of the hitter. Gets him a new ball, calms him down for a moment. Now Salisbury is looking in for the signs, and now he'll come set below his belt. Peeks back to second base. Runner at third dancing a touch. That should be called strike 3. It's a ball that misses inside. That was a really good pitch from Salisbury. That was about as close as you can possibly get. Missing inside. 1 ball and 2 strikes with 2 gone and runners at second and third. Salisbury is still just 1 pitch from getting out of this, though. 2-2 tie ball game. Western Michigan out hitting the Bobcats 7-2, but it's tied up in the number that counts. Time has been called, and Salisbury will step off the mound. Here comes the delivery at 2-2 again, fouled out of play. This is a nice little battle brewing between Connor Henderson and Jerry Salisbury. The left-handed Bobcat starting pitcher facing off against the right-handed batting 9-hole hitter Connor Henderson. This is the guy to get. He's batting only 165 this season, 172 with runners on, 133 with runners in scoring position, and 122 with 2 outs. All of those situations are at play right now. That's fouled into the Bobcat dugout on a grounder. Hopping up out of the way of it over there was Kenny Ogg, I think, showing everybody his flexibility. He wipes the sweat from the brim of his cap as if that was a scary moment on a dribbler foul. One ball and 2 strikes with 2 outs. Here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Salisbury gets out of a jam. He gives up a run on a home run in the top of the 4th, but a strikeout there. His 4th of the day is what gets him out of runners on 2nd and 3rd. 2-2, we're tied up. This is Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB. Out of runners at 2nd and 3rd with 1 out. Well, there are runners on the corners with 1 out, and then runners at 2nd and 3rd with 2 outs. Tony Giannini will hit to start things off in the Bobcat bottom of the 4th as Ohio tries to regain the lead that they held for just a moment. That's a strike on Tony G on a breaking pitch. It is pretty rare that you win baseball games when you get out hit, but Ohio is certainly in it. It's tied 2-2, even though they're being out hit 7-2. Here's the 0-1. That one's fouled off the catcher's mask, and our home plate umpire will take a moment for him, give him a fresh baseball. It's no balls and 2 strikes. That one's fouled just off the top of the screen. It just barely clipped the top of the screen as it goes out of play. It's 0-2. Tony G bats from the right side, does the Bobcat third baseman. Wheels that bat back behind his ear. This is a hard hit ball up the middle that was played perfectly by the second baseman, Devine. He tosses it pretty high over to first base on a lob, but they beat Giannini by plenty of steps. Thought for a moment that was going to go over the top of Hudson's head, but Hudson had just enough height at first base to make the play, and there's one gone on a hard ground out to the second baseman, Devine. He was shaded towards the second base bag, and that was right where Giannini hit it. Here's Devin Garcia. Garcia 1 for 1 today. 1 of 3 Bobcats with a hit. Garcia, Fabic, and Rote are the Cats with hits. And now this is a hit. This is lifted on a line to the gap in left center field. This is going to get up against the wall for an extra base hit. Garcia rounds first base. He's going into second with a head full of steam. He'll hold up there with a standing double. And he kicks down the door as he looks into the Bobcat third base dugout with that 1-out double. So another extra base hit for the Bobcats. That double for Devin Garcia is his 11th of the season, his 8th of the season, his 12th extra base hit. And now here's Dan McCauley, and Garcia has been on twice for McCauley. The first time McCauley went down on strikes. Or I apologize, he popped out to the catcher, his counterpart. That one misses low and away, 1-0. See if McCauley can maybe do something more here. McCauley this season batting .190 with runners in scoring position, .203 overall. Right-handed pitching Nick Leo looks in for the sign. It's a curveball strike. Good pitch. Leo from Downers Grove, Illinois. Right-handed junior. Going up against Jerry Salisbury from Brunswick, Ohio. Hitting now, though, of course, is Dan McCauley, the Bobcat catcher. It's 1-1. Peek back to second base for Leo, the break-even pitch. This is lifted to right. Underneath it in the right center field gap, and making the play is done. Devin Garcia will tag to third. It's going to be a close play on a good throw, but in with a slide is Garcia safely, as the third baseman, Roach, had to come up a few steps to make the play in the air, and Garcia was in with a slide. And with 2 outs, the Bobcats have a runner at third base. It's always nice to have a runner at third base, obviously, as it gives you a chance to get a runner in any way, shape, or form. Pass ball, wild pitch, error, or base hit. And now Aaron Levy, who hits from the left side, will bat. Levy bats .226 with 2 outs and .213 with runners in scoring position. Breaking pitch in there for a strike. No balls and 1 strike. The right-handed pitching Nick Leo looks in for the sign. Here comes the 0-1. Popped up left side towards the Bobcat dugout. Going to be a tough play, and 2 steps in front of the Bobcat dugout, and making the play is the Western Michigan third baseman, Roach. It was just a little pop flare that didn't get foul enough, and the Bobcats strand a runner at third base. We're tied 2-2. We head to the 5th. This is Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB. In the runs. Leading things off as the top of the Western Michigan order, Connor Smith comes to the plate. He's 0 for 2 today, not a guy that you expect to go hitless. He enters today batting .343, so he'll do his damage at some point, you can only suspect. But Salisbury has pitched him well. He's struck out in the first inning, grounded out to third base in the third, and the first pitch to him here in the top of the 5th is over for a strike. Salisbury's set to go again. He misses with a fastball low and away. So now the count is even at 1-1. A couple more clouds have moved in. There was a chance for rain called for. That's why this game got moved from 6 3-2 as here comes the 1-1. Line drive into left, and oncoming and making the play is Garcia. Barely had to move in left field. Right on it was Connor Smith. He smoked it, but it was right to Garcia in left field. That's a line out for out number 1. But there was an expectation that rain would come, but now it appears that may not be the case. So we get this game in a little bit earlier and maybe get a nice evening in Athens, Ohio. No complaints from me here. As there's one gone, and Andrew Stone comes to the dish. That pitch misses high, 1-0. Ohio in a tough spot overall this season, 8-13 in Mid-American Conference play, trying to do everything they can to get to Avon as that one misses outside, 2-0. It's probably going to take winning 5 of the last 6 to get there. Maybe 4 will do it. They would need some help if that's the case. Here comes the 2-0 from Salisbury. He's fallen behind quickly, and that pitch missed somewhere. 3 balls and no strikes. Salisbury really wanted that call but did not get it. Salisbury so far today has gone 4 1/3 innings. He's looked pretty good, though. I think he's got plenty left in that tank. That's over for strike 3 and 1. Fly ball, it'll get out of play foul towards the Bobcat bullpen down the left field line. Stone is the hitter. He singled and scored in the first inning. He struck out in the third. Roach, who waits on deck, is who drove him in with an RBI double. The 1-2. Line drive, center field. Playing it well was Fabic. He was in center, very shallow, and he makes the play for the second out. Fabic does not make that play if he's not playing that shallow. Now, he was shaded more towards the left center gap, but the Bobcats must have had their numbers down pretty perfectly on the spray chart for Stone because Fabic was able to get to it pretty easily. He just moved to his left and made the play. And it's pretty hard to describe to you how shallow he was playing. I mean, he was honestly more towards the infield than he was to the outfield. And the first pitch to Roach just swung over and missed, 0-1. So Salisbury is trying to spin a 1-2-3 rack here in the 5th inning. The Bobcat lefty delivers. That pitch misses low. McCauley had to get down to keep it in front of him. Didn't really matter. There's nobody on. Tony Giannini hugs the bag, or hugs the line at third. He's back at the bag. Rudy Rope plays straight up at first base. Tony Pena crouch from Dan McCauley misses outside. To Salisbury, 2 balls and a strike. At shortstop, Hafner plays shaded towards third as well. There's a lot of hitting room straight up the middle. That pitch bounces, and now Salisbury has fallen behind 3 balls and a strike. He'll get a new ball from our home plate umpire. Well, this is the last home series of the season, which means this is the last games that will be played here without turf, at least for Bobcat baseball. I would assume that the turf will go in at the conclusion of Copperhead season. That's over for a strike. The count is full at 3-2. Unless they have an incredibly fast crew that can get it done much quicker. That'd be pretty impressive. Count's full. Tapper foul towards the Bobcat dugout. Goes off a couple of fingers. Nobody was able to snag it. One group has brought an easy up to the ballpark today down the left field line on top of the hill down there. As time has been called. There are 2 outs in the top of the 5th. Salisbury's been dealing pretty solidly. He's given up 7 hits, but he's only given up 2 runs, and that pitch misses low for a ball. Salisbury was trotting to the dugout. He's done that maybe 2 or 3 times now today where he's thought he was going to get a strike call and he didn't get it. So that's a 2-out walk worked by Roach, and here is the catcher Forstill as he pitches off the shin guards back to the dugout, and we'll come to the dish. And time has been called, and Rob Smith takes a peek down to the Bobcat bullpen. I don't think anybody is ready yet. I think maybe getting ready. Salisbury has looked pretty good today. He's faced 21 batters. It'll be the 22nd batter that he faces. coming to the plate right now in Forstill. Forstill batting .248, and that's his new average. The runner on is Roche. Roche 1 for 2 today now with a walk. But maybe the biggest reason time being called here is that it's not really the 1, 2, 3, 4 or the 7, 8, 9 that Jerry Salisbury has had trouble with. It's been Nate Grice hitting in the 5-hole, and it's been Blake Dunn hitting in the 6-hole. They're 4 for 4 today, and they're on deck and in the hole. So Forstill, who is 0 for 2, has got to be the guy that if you're Salisbury, you get. There's a right-hander warming up in the Bobcat bullpen. I assume it's Corey Blessing. Although you know what they say about assumptions. They tend to be wrong. Curveball fouled back off the mitt of Dan McCauley into the screen, 0-1. It'll be Fabic, Hafner, and Rote for the Bobcats in the bottom of the 5th. Rudy Rote hit a 2-run home run to give the Bobcats a lead in the bottom of the 3rd. Western Michigan added a run in the 4th after getting their first run back in the 1st inning to tie things back up. Fouled back out of play, and Salisbury is ahead. No balls and 2 strikes on the catcher, Forstill. No balls, 2 strikes. 2 outs, 1 runner on over at first base. Missing high and away is Salisbury. The Bobcats defensively play towards the second base bag. Tony Giannini plays towards traditional shortstop positioning. The shortstop Hafner plays back of the bag at second and just barely to the left. Here's the 1-2. And that pitch misses low and away, and Salisbury took not as many steps to the dugout as he did a moment ago on the walk to Roche, but he still took a couple steps to the Bobcat dugout, didn't get the call, and now it's deuces across the board at 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. The runner at first base is Roche. It's tied 2-2. Salisbury's trying to get through 5 innings of work. Here comes the 2-2 delivery, and did he go? No, he did not. The count is full at 3-2. It was a fastball high and away. Thought for a moment that maybe Forstill offered at it, but he did not. The count is full. 2 outs. There's a runner at first base. Tie ball game 2-2. 7 hits for Western Michigan today. Salisbury has 4 strikeouts. Trying to get another here. That pitch misses low and away. Salisbury walks 3/4 of the way to the dugout. This time, another walk. And now we'll see if Rob Smith does anything here, as Blessing appears to be warm down in that Bobcat bullpen. And we've gotten to a spot in the order where Salisbury's had a lot of trouble. Nate Grice and Blake Dunn are 4 for 4 today. Grice, 2 extra base hits, a double in the 2nd, a home run in the 4th, and I think that will be Salisbury's day as Rob Smith trots out of the dugout. Time has been called, and indeed there is a call to the bullpen. So Salisbury's day is done. He gets through 4 2/3 innings. He talks to the home plate umpire a few times about those calls. He was not pleased with them. He believes that this inning should be over, but it is not. We're going to go ahead and take a 60-second pause. We'll let you know who the new Bobcat pitcher is after this. This is Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB. Indeed, the new Bobcat pitcher is Corey Blessing. Blessing, right-hander, stands 6'2", 188, redshirt senior from Mayfield, Ohio. Enters for the Cats, and this season Blessing has done some very good work out of the Bobcat bullpen. He's got a .282 earned run average. He's 3-3 in the decisions category. This will be his 26th appearance. He's gone 44 2/3 innings. He's struck out 41 and walked 17. 5 inherited runners have scored, 14 earned runs, 19 total, and he has given up 8 extra base hits. Opponents bat only 193 against him. They don't hit off of him very often. He's given up only 32 hits in 44 and 2/3 innings of work. That's pretty good stuff. To set you up with where we are right now, we are in the top of the 5th, Western Michigan and Ohio. 2-2 at Bob Wren Stadium. 2 runs, 7 hits, and an error in progress for Western Michigan. 2 runs, 3 hits, and 2 errors in progress for the Cats. At second base is Roach. At first base is Forstell. Salisbury has been run after 4 2/3. He thought he was going to get a called strike 3. 2 batters in a row. Didn't get it. Instead gave up walks. Both times walked almost halfway to the dugout, to the chagrin of our home plate umpire. But doesn't change the circumstances here. There are 2 gone and 2 on. Blessing is the man. He will face off against Nate Grise, who hit a home run in the 4th inning to tie things up the last time he was up. That's a strike. Blessing catches the outside corner, 0-1. Shaded towards the second base bag is Aaron Levy. He's behind it and just to the right. There is a lot of hitting room to the right side. Rudy Rote off the bag at first base. Short lead at second. Here's the 0-1. And that's a pitch that misses outside. 1-1. Just missed. Blessing takes his time with runners on. Nate Grise is batting .380 with runners in scoring position. There's a reason you should take your time with him. That pitch bounces in the dirt in front of McCauley, and it'll get all the way back to the screen on a high hop. And the runners will advance to second and third. So now, there's a dangerous hitter at bat in the form of Nate Grise. Even though he bats in the 5-hole, he has 44 RBIs, leading this Western Michigan squad. He's got 10 home runs, 1 of those today. And now he's ahead in a hitter's count situation, 2 balls and a strike, and 2 outs. Blessing steps off for a moment, toes the rubber again. McCauley peeks into the dugout to try and make sure he's getting the right sign. He gives it to Blessing. Blessing takes his time, gets what he wants. Peeks at third, looks to second, back to third. Comes set, fires. Foul ball. Hot shot to the dugout. That was smoked. Now it's count even, deuces across the board. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs, 2 runners on. They sit at second and third, do the Ducks on the pond. Top of the 5th inning. Tie ball game at 2-2. Corey Blessing trying to hold on to this tie for the Cats. Salisbury got run after 4 2/3. The pitch. It's a shot up the middle, base hit, RBI, should score 2, and indeed it will. 2 RBI single. Both of those runs will be registered to Jerry Salisbury, who was run after they reached on walks when he had gotten to 2 strikes. And Nate Grise continues to rake as well. Rudy Rote rakes. Well, Nate Grise does for Western Michigan. He's now up to 46 RBIs on the season. He has 3 RBIs today. A double, a home run, a single, and 3 RBIs. That's not a bad line score. Nate Grise's batting average now up to .317 as well, and now a guy who's also 2 for 2 today, trying to extend it to 3-3, comes to hit in the form of Blake Dunn, the freshman right fielder. 4-2 the score now after those 2 runs come across for Western Michigan. They lead it. Throw over to first base by Blessing, and back in easily is Grise. There's a strike on a curveball that tumbled over 12-6. High drive to left, carrying back towards the wall, towards the warning track, leaping and unable to make the catch in left field is Devin Garcia. Rounding third and heading to home is Grise. Heading to third base and now holding up at second and staying there with an RBI double is done. And these guys in the 5 and 6 hole have done some serious damage against the Bobcats today. They are now a combined 6 for 6. Nate Grise and Blake Dunn. They are doing damage. And now it's 5-2. And the first pitch misses low as it bounces into the first baseman, Logan Hudson. Now it's 1 ball and no strikes. 2 outs. All of these runs in the top of the 5th inning coming with 2 outs for Western Michigan. The Bobcats were a pitch away, an out away from getting out of this jam a couple of times and heading into the bottom of the 5th, still tied 2-2, but instead it's 5-2. And that pitch bounces in the dirt, and Dan McCauley has had some trouble keeping these balls in front of him. That's a couple times now that the ball has bounced up away from McCauley, and runners have advanced because of it. This time, Dunn is on to third base. So now Corey Blessing tries to get things together out on the mound. He's behind 2 balls and no strikes. Runner on third base. 3 runs are in here in the top of the 5th. 2 of those registered to Salisbury, but those are inherited runners scoring under the watch of Corey Blessing. 1 of them earned for him. Here's a tapper to third base, fielded by Giannini. He fires on to first for the out. 3 runs come across in the top of the 5th for the Broncos. They lead 5-2 over the Cats. We head to the bottom of the 5th. This is Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB. Run in the 3rd inning. Here is Sebastian Fabic. Rudy Rote will bat 3rd this inning. Fabic watches the first pitch miss high, 1-0. Trevor Hafner is waiting on deck. Rudy in the hole. The 1-0. A pitch misses outside, so Fabic ahead, 2 balls and no strikes. The convo well lit by the sun to right. You can see all the way up to Bromley, up on top of the hill at the campus of Ohio University. 2 balls and no strikes to Fabic. Curveball in there for a strike. Had Fabic buckling his knees a little bit. Batter's eye to dead center field with West Green around us. The softball field to right. The 2-1. And swing and a miss on a fastball. Fabic was late on it. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Count even now. Schmidt's retired number out to left. 67 to 71 the years he played here. The NCAA tournament appearances for the Cats along the right field wall with the logo in the left center and right center field gaps. Did he go? Indeed he did. Sebastian Fabic is out on strikes as he couldn't check his swing on a high fastball, and there's 1 gone in the Bobcat bottom of the 5th. Here's Trevor Hafner. Hafner hits with 1 gone. And continuing to pitch and pitching very well is Leo. Really, the only damage is that's a big swing and a miss on a fastball. Way late, though, was Hafner. The only damage done was the 2-run home run by Rudy Rote. Other than that, the Bobcat lineup has been pretty quiet. The only hits today have come off the bats of Garcia and Rote. 3 for the Cats. Garcia has 2. Rudy Rote has 1. One ball and 1 strike. That pitch misses high. The break-even pitch to Hafner. That one misses high and tight. So now it's 2 balls and a strike in favor of the Bobcat shortstop. The 2-1 from Leo. And Hafner tried to check his swing, and he fouled it on a tap over to the Bronco dugout on the first base line, and so now the count is even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. That strikeout of Fabic was the first strikeout recorded by Leo today, which is pretty shocking because coming into today, as here comes the 2-2, there's a grounder to third, it's going to get foul. Coming into today, Leo had 74 strikeouts in 72 1/3 innings. Now his season total is 75 strikeouts in 76 1/3 innings. So he's been looking at about a strikeout, if not a touch more, per inning. 9 strikeouts per 9 innings, of course, the stat that everybody is concerned with. Here comes the 2-2. Well, that's another strikeout. Going down looking is Hafner on a curveball inside, so maybe Leo will get there if he continues to pitch like this. That's his 2nd strikeout of the day, both coming in back-to-back batters. Here's Rudy Rote. I apologize. That's the 3rd strikeout of the day because the man hitting right now was the other strikeout victim, Rudy Rote. But he homered in the 3rd. 5 home runs in 8 days for the Bobcats first baseman. He hits with 2 outs here and fouls that one back to the screen, 0-1. And so working very well and very quickly right now is Leo. He's trying to get through the Bobcat bottom of the 5th by striking out everybody. He's gotten Fabic and Hafner. Now he works on Rudy Rote. Not going to strike out Rudy Rote. There's a tapper towards second base. Going to be fielded there, firing on to first base for the out. And that's the 3rd out in the bottom of the 5th. The Bobcats go very quietly. 1, 2, 3, and a couple of strikeouts. 5-2. Western Michigan leads it as we head to the 6th. This is Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB. them earned towards Blessing. The hitter is Drew Devine. He's 0 for 2 today. He's popped out twice, both to the right side. And that's a strike, as showing bunt was Drew Devine, and a check down to our first base umpire says that indeed he did offer. So it's 0-1. Blessing has done pretty good work out of the bullpen for the Bobcats so far this season. He tries to get back on track this inning, though, after being a little rocky in the fifth. And he's ahead on Drew Devine, no balls and 2 strikes. Blessing looks in. Fabic shades towards right center. Playing really shallow and right is Michael Klein. Playing deeper to left is Garcia. That pitch misses low and away. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The 1-2. And that's a rope down the third base line. Foul. Do it again at 1-2. Blessing looks in. This is the first man he's facing in the 6th. The 1-2. Curveball up over the top, stayed high. And taking a step towards the dugout for a moment was Devine. I think he thought it might be a called strike 3, but it was high. And now the count is even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Blessing has that very nasty 12-6 curve. Maybe he brings it again on 2-2. Instead, he comes with a fastball high and tight, and it was high. The count is full. The Bobcat dugout wanted it, but it was definitely high. And so now the count is full. 3-2. Ground ball to short. Going to be fielded there by Hafner. He'll go on to first base for the out. One gone. Blessing was ahead 0-2. And the count got full at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Then he was able to get him out on a dribbler. Not a dribbler, but a grounder. Here's Connor Henderson, the center fielder. He bats in the 9 hole, the second one to come to the plate for the Broncos here in the 6th. There's the 12-6 curveball that never really came back down. It started really high. Dan McCauley was lucky to get a mid on that one. It's 1-0. Showing bunt was Henderson. Don't think he's going to put it down. 0 for 2 today with a pop out and a strikeout. There's a line drive to left, carrying well back towards the wall. Garcia back on it, and at the wall with his hand upon it, just to the left of the Mid-American Conference sign, he makes the play for the second out. Garcia did a good job and left. Got up against the wall and made the play for the second out here in the top of the 6th inning. Now the hitter is Connor Smith. The lineup is turned over. And I mentioned the last time Connor Smith came to the plate that he was 0 for 2, not a guy you expect to go hitless. He normally gets his. Well, now he's 0 for 3. A strikeout, a ground out, and a line out. Hit a ball hard to left his last time up, but it was right at Devin Garcia. Now he hits a hard ground ball off the edge of the grass. Fielding it is Hafner, firing on to first. Close play at first base. Rudy Rote did a good job to keep his foot on the bag on the stretch. And there's 3 down. So that's a nice inning there for Corey Blessing. 3 up, 3 down. We head to the bottom of the 6th, 5-2. Broncos leading the Bobcats. This is Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB. Klein, Giannini. They are a combined 0 for 6 today. Maybe they can get some of their bats out. And Picnic is hit by a pitch. He will take his base. And so the Bobcats have a base runner just like that to start the bottom of the 6th inning. They trail by 3. They need to get something going. Picnic is aboard. That is the second time today Picnic has reached. He reached on an error. Here's Michael Klein, who's 0 for 2. Grounded out to short and flew out to center. Klein batting .215, does hit better with runners on, .287 in that category. Bats from the right side. Double play depth up the middle for Western Michigan. Short lead at first base for Picnic. He's not going to be going anywhere. That one's fouled out of play, 0-1. Picnic has attempted to steal bases just twice this season. He is 1 for 1. He has scored 31 runs, though, for the Cats. Behind Rudy Rote in that category, Rudy Rote is 42. Second on the team with that number. 0-1, nobody out and a runner on at first base. This is low to Klein. Now the count is even at 1 ball and a strike. Taking his time out there is Leo. Peek over to first base. Now he comes set just above his belt. He'll throw over and back in on a head-first dive is Picnic. Like I said, I don't expect Picnic to be going anywhere, although he does have a heftier lead than you'd normally expect out of the Bobcat designated hitter, catcher / left fielder. Kind of been a jack of all trades this season for Rob Smith. Whatever he's needed, he's tried to give him. Swing and a miss by Klein over the top of a fastball. He's down 1 ball and 2 strikes. Waiting on deck is Tony Giannini, and the hole is Garcia. Tony G 0 for 2 today, as is Klein, but Garcia, who's in the hole, is 2 for 2. He's been hitting the ball well lately. Leo comes set for the 1-2. Now he throws over to first base. Close play. And an emphatic safe call by our first base umpire, Jeffrey Spizak. Home plate is Jason Stidham, first base Spizak. Mark Schmidt is at third base. Right now he's at second, though, with a runner at first. That way he can have a call at second base on a force. Pitch misses high, 2 balls and 2 strikes. The 3-man crew, 3-man Mid-American Conference crew. I'll be doing some umpiring tomorrow morning out at the Little League ball fields while I'm in town. I texted Kevin to Schwartzel over there to see if I could help out. They do a really good job over there at the Sandlot, is what it's called. Kids seem to have a lot of fun. 2 balls and 2 strikes to Michael Klein. That pitch misses inside. Now the count is full. There is no activity in the Western Michigan bullpen as things are going here in the 6th, but there's nobody out, a runner at first base, and the count is full. Ohio leading 5-2. There is activity in the Bobcat pen. Lefty warming up. That is probably Manis. But the righty Leo looks in. Now he throws back over to first base again. Not even applying a tag that time was Hudson. It was still a head-first dive by Picnic, but he was back in considerably sooner than the last 2 moves. The full count delivery to Michael Klein. Fisted ball off of his hands and into center field, a base hit. Rounding second and heading to third is Picnic. And now the Bobcats have runners on the corners and nobody out in the bottom of the 6th. He just fisted a little line drive past the second baseman, Devine, and into center field for a base hit. And now here is Tony G. Giannini hit a home run midweek. A home run here. A home run for the Bobcats here would tie the ball game. That would obviously be a very good thing for Ohio. They trail 5-2. They've brought the tying run to the plate. And still, Western Michigan has no one up in the bullpen. So right now, this is Leo's jam to work out of. He's averaged going a pretty hefty time in most of his starts. He's got 77 innings in 13 starts so far this season. But runners at first and third. It's Picnic at third. Klein is at first after that single. Really good at bat by Michael Klein to claw back from behind 0-2 to get it full and then to fist a single up the middle to bring Giannini up. That pitch misses low and in the dirt, and keeping it in front of him is Forstell, doing a good job. There was the Western Michigan catcher just to keep that in front. Devin Garcia waits on deck. He's been hitting the ball very well today. He's 2 for 2. He's hit the ball hard today. And now time has been called and a conversation will be had between Leo and his head coach. Billy Jernan trots out. In his 8th season, a graduate from Indiana in 1990. And now activity in the Western Michigan bullpen has started. Trotting out there to warm up right now is Andrew Reisinger, redshirt senior right-hander from McHenry, Illinois, is going to get going down in the Western Michigan bullpen. He has been used a lot from the pen this year. 27 appearances, 47 innings with a 4.75 ERA. So outside of starting pitchers, he has been used the most and will be the man who likely enters if Leo can't get out of this jam, or even if he can, honestly, because now that pitch count's starting to take up a little bit more space in the box score. The pitch to Giannini is a strike, 1-1. The first pitch to him was a ball in the dirt before that lengthy pause. And now that one is a strike on the inside corner. 1 ball, 1 strike. Leal looks in. Third to first fake. Needs to be getting rid of. It's not in professional baseball anymore, and it needs to go away from college ball because, in my opinion, the definition of a balk is deceiving the hitters and base runners, and if that's not deception, I don't know what is. 1-1. Nobody out. Runners on the corners. Leo delivers. Low. Runner going. They're going to try and throw down. They should have had him, but Klein is in there safely. If it was a better throw, they would have had him. The shortstop, Smith, was covering, and the ball bounced in the grass before it even got to the bag. And so that's a stolen base for Michael Klein. And it took a moment. If Forstell had been more decisive in his decision, he would have had Klein without a doubt. But instead, he waited a moment and then fired down there. Staying on the bag at third base was Picnic as they threw through. So now the Bobcats have 2 runners in scoring position. Tony Giannini has not hit well with runners in scoring position this season. Just 119 in that category. He might change it here. He's hit a ball softly over to third, scoring Picnic on the play, and safe at first base with an infield single is Giannini. It was fielded on a bit of a slow hop by Connor Smith at short. Thought they were going to have Giannini easily. Picnic was easily going to score on the play because it was hit so softly. He read it well. He is safe. 5-3 is the score, and Giannini is safe on the back end at first base with a single and an RBI. Here's Devin Garcia, who is 2 for 2 today. He bats .234 overall, 163 with runners in scoring position. Klein is at second. And now that stolen base looks even more important because if Connor Smith at short would have been able to go the easy way to second for an out, not only would there have likely for sure been an out recorded on that play, it very easily could have been a double play. Instead, there's nobody out and runners at first and second, and Devin Garcia will be tasked with bunting. And he pulls back, and it's a called strike on a breaking pitch that catches the inside corner, 0-1. It's a really good pitch from Leo. This is the most trouble Leo's been in all day. He gave up a 2-run home run to Rudy Rote in the bottom of the third. He's given up a run now here in the bottom of the sixth. And with nobody out, there's runners at first and second. Now, I was bringing up the double play situation. Obviously, it is still now in effect with runners at first and second, which is why it makes sense for Rob Smith to possibly try and move these runners over for Dan McCauley, Aaron Levy, and Sebastian Fabic. But also part of the decision is taking the bat out of the hand of the guy who's swung it really well today. And it's a pitch out. They were trying to back pick over to first base on Giannini, but Giannini read it well. Hudson was coming over late. The first baseman or I apologize, Hudson, the first baseman, was charging. Devine, the second baseman, came over late. They backpicked, and Giannini was back in safely, easily, because he read it so well. It was a pitch out outside, 1 ball and a strike. That grill is fired up down there. It smells good. The Bobcats have something cooking, just like they do down at that grill. 1-1, Garcia showing bunt. That's a strike, a curveball that Garcia thought was high, but instead it's in there, and now it's 0-2. And the Bobcat third base coach, Craig Moore, just kind of looked out to left field in disgust, as if to say, Devin, you got to get that bunt down. We got the sign on for you. Just put it down if it's close. Now we'll see if it's still on with a count at 1 ball and 2 strikes. McCauley is on deck. Levy in the hole. 6, 7, 8, 9. Bottom of the order for the Bobcats. The bunt sign pulled off. Called strike 3 on Garcia right down Broadway. He wasn't able to move the runners over, and he's down on strikes. And that is the 4th strikeout recorded of the day for Nick Leo. Dan McCauley is the hitter. McCauley 0 for 2 today. He's popped out to the catcher and flown out to right. McCauley batting .200 overall, 182 with runners in scoring position. At first is Giannini. At second is Klein. That pitch, thought it might have missed outside, but instead it caught the corner. It's 0-1. That's inside, and doing a good job of keeping it in front of him was the catcher Forstell. The runners have to hold. With 1 out and runners at first and second, Ohio has a run in here in the bottom of the 6th. The tying run is at first base. McCauley represents a lead change if he were to come across, does the Bobcat hitter. 1-1. Foul tip into the mitt. Held on to by Forstell. Now there's 1 ball and 2 strikes. The 1-2. This one's popped out of play down the right field line, and indeed it will get out of play. I second-guessed myself for a moment, but it got to the hill. So we're still even at 1 ball, or still set at 1 ball and 2 strikes. Runners are at first and second. 1 ball and 2 strikes to Dan McCauley, the Bobcat catcher who hits here. And he foul tips this one to stay alive. One and 2. Time has been called as Leo has taken a really long time here. 1 out, runners at first and second for Ohio. 5-3, the Cats trail by 2 to the Broncos. At home in the Wren on a beautiful day for baseball. The Bobcat catcher trying to do something with his bat here. That pitch misses high. The count is even at 2 balls and 2 strikes. It's one of those sun-splashed days where an umbrella and an easy up is a good idea. There's an easy up down the left field line. There's an umbrella in the seats. It's very crowded in the shade beneath me. Everybody trying to stay out of the sun. Some people want to be in the sun on a day like this, though. Count even at 2-2. Ground ball to third, fielded there. It's going to be a 5-4-3 double play to end the threat in the sixth. The Bobcats weren't able to do anything with it. They leave runners on once again. We head to the seventh. The Bobcats do add one run. They trail by 2. This is Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB. Six games in a row. They won the opener at Miami. That was their last win. Their last series win, of course, was against Kent State. Swept by Ball State, lost to Youngstown State in a heck of a ball game midweek, 10-9. The first pitch from Corey Blessing misses high, 1 ball and no strikes to the left-handed hitting Andrew Stone, the DH for Western Michigan, and now behind 2 balls and no strikes as that pitch misses low and away. The 2-0. And Blessing misses in the right-handed batter's box with that fastball, so he's behind 3 balls and no strikes to Stone. 2, 3, and 4 up in the top of the 7th for the Broncos. No action in their bullpen right now. There was some earlier, but it has died down. The 3-0. That's a strike. Fastball. Blessing just trying to get that over, and he was able to. 3-1. That ball is fouled, just kind of tapped foul to the right of Stone at the plate. Now the count is full at 3-2. And the 3-2 is flared into left field, a base hit. He just stuck the bat head out on it, did Stone, and doing a really good job of getting to it quickly was Garcia in left field to hold Stone to just a single there. And so he is aboard, and now here comes Roche. I mean, that was just really good piece of hitting. Just stuck the bat head out there, was trying to stay alive, and it ended up going into left field for a base hit over the top of Giannini and in front of Garcia. And there's a 12-6 curveball from Corey Blessing to the right-handed hitting Jimmy Roche over the top that's fouled off at the plate for strike 1, 0-1. That pitch misses outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. 1 ball, 1 strike. There's 1 runner on. It's Stone over at first base. He signaled. Rudy Road is holding him on the first base bag. The Bobcats are shaded to the left side of the infield. Outside of that, this has popped up out of play. If there was no roof, I would be able to make that play. Now it's 1 ball and 2 strikes. Forstell waits on deck. 5 runs, 10 hits, and an error today for Western Michigan. 3 runs, 5 hits, 2 errors for Ohio. WMU up 2-0, or up 2 runs on the Cats. There comes a point where every now and then you're going to jumble your words. There's a fly ball to right. Carrying back and moving underneath it is Michael Klein. He makes the play for the first out here in the top of the 7th. And there's 1 gone. Here comes Jesse Forstell. Forstell 0 for 2 today. Bats in the 4-hole. He has 21 RBIs on the season. He has 8 extra base hits. He's reached just once today. He walked in the 5th. He lined into a double play in the 1st inning, struck out in the 4th. Bats here in the top of the 7th. Time has been called by Dan McCauley, and actually Rob Smith is going to trot out there and join this conversation. We'll see if Corey Blessing may be done out of the bullpen. He's already gone 1 2/3 innings. He's given up just 1 run. And there's been activity in the Bobcat bullpen, so we'll see how much longer Corey Blessing has in him with 1 out in the 7th. And Ohio trailing by 2. And Corey Blessing is indeed done. So a pitching change will be coming for the Bobcats. We'll let you know who the new Bobcat pitcher is after this 60-second pause. This is Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB. This baseball game got moved up from a first pitch at 6 to a first pitch at 2. But sometimes that's what happens, and instead, you know, now we're going to have a free evening because of it in beautiful Athens, Ohio. I don't think that's a bad thing. Forstell is the hitter, as the pitching change has been made. The new Bobcat pitcher is left-hander Brett Manis. Brett Manis has done some really solid work out of the pen when he's been tasked to do so. The first pitch that he delivers here misses low to the left-handed hitting catcher. But he's been very good out of the bullpen so far this season. He has a 3.18 ERA and 11 1/3 innings. He has struck out 18. He does have 11 walks. Counts 1-0. That misses low and inside. McCauley gives him the cursory check of the mitt to say, I like that pitch. Good spot. Just missed. That signal means so many different things between a catcher and a pitcher, but they all seem to know exactly what it means when it's given. No matter what the moment is. Yes, I know that you're saying that I just missed that time, as that one's over for a strike, 2-1. Or I know you're saying you hit your spot. That was a good spot. Or I know you're saying calm down. It's the same gesture, but it does a lot of different things. I used it. We had that communication down. If my pitcher didn't know what was going on, it was his fault. 2 balls and a strike. There's 1 out and a runner on at first base. That's a strike. Oh, it missed low. Just missed low. Manis wanted that one. 3 balls and a strike. Not too many complaints from the Bobcat dugout, which normally means it was right there. At least maybe close enough not to complain, because the dugouts, if there's one thing they can see, it's low and high. They're going to act like they can see everything else, but they really can't. But they can see low and high. The 3-1 is tapped foul down the first base line, and that's going to be a tough one to chase down. Flying out of the Western Michigan dugout is Tyler Thorington, pitcher. He's got to go all the way down that right field line to grab that ball. Now the count is full at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Manis, the left-handed Bobcats specialist, taking on the left-handed hitting catcher Forstill. Peek over at first base, and Manis will throw over. And he looked in and looked over to first and got set and then fired over to first base. Count's full, and there's 1 out. The full count delivery. This is a fly ball, really a pop-up, right side of the infield into shallow right field. Calling everyone off is Aaron Levy, and he makes the play in shallow right for the 2nd out. Sebastian Fabic was oncoming, Klein was coming, but Levy just went back of his position, essentially, into shallow right center and made the play for the 2nd out. So 2 gone in the top of the 7th. We're almost to stretch time at Wren. Always good to stretch it out. Manis continues to work, does the left-handed reliever. He peeks over to first base, now he'll deliver. That misses low and outside, 1-0. This is popped up out of play, and now the count is even at 1 ball and 1 strike. The 1-1. That's a strike. Now the count goes to 1 ball and 2 strikes after a good break-even pitch from Manis. Manis is very solid from the bullpen. I've really liked what we've seen so far from the left-handed reliever for the Cats. He hasn't pitched in an incredible chunk of games, but he's done good work when he's been tasked to do so. The 1-2 with 2 gone. Did he go? Indeed, he did. Fair ball, actually, off the bottom of the bat, fielded by the catcher, McCauley. He goes on to first base for the putout, and that's the 3rd out. It's stretch time from the Wren. We are heading to the bottom of the 7th. Bobcats trail by 2. This is Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB. people from his hometown don't even know who he is. And he said, well, it's set up like a classic T on this road. Well, pretty probably well known. Most people know me. That road, not so much. That's what it's like being from a small town. I feel like I'm from a small town when I'm in Hamilton, Ohio, because the area that we're from, everybody knows each other. Heathwood Lane, Sky Meadow, all that stuff. But it's still a pretty big area. This one's fouled out of play by Aaron Levy as he leads things off in the bottom of the 7th. It's a big town. It's a city. It's 65,000 people, but it has that small town feel. But Quentin Poling really is from a small town. Some of these guys, Bobcat baseball from small towns. It's amazing where a lot of these athletes come from. That pitch is in there for a strike. No balls, 2 strikes. And continuing to work is Leo. Nick Leo continues to labor in the 7th. He's done a really solid job for Western Michigan today. He's given up 3 runs to the Cats, 2 on 1 swing of the bat to Rudy Rote, and 1 back in the 6th inning. The Cats were threatening, and then a double play ended that threat. 1 ball and 2 strikes as that pitch missed high. And here's the 1-2. Swing and a miss. Levy goes down on strikes. And indeed, keeping it in the mitt was Forstill. And that is the 5th strikeout of the day for Leo. He is now up to 79 strikeouts on the season in 78 2/3 innings. And here's Sebastian Fabik. Fabik struck out in the 5th. He singled in the 3rd. One of a handful of Bobcats with a hit today. Garcia, Giannini, and Klein with hits. Garcia has 2. Fabik with 1, and Rudy Rote with a home run. First pitch to him misses high, 1-0. The 1-0 from Leo. Swing and a miss, 1-1. The 1-1, and Fabik is way behind it. That fastball has some incredible life to it. It's got a little bit of a tail to it. Maybe a touch of a slide piece, really, but it is a nasty pitch. And there have been a couple of Bobcats badly fooled by it. 1 ball and 2 strike delivery to Fabik. Missing high is Leo. Counts even at 2-2. Fabik takes his time to get into that box. Did a good job working a base hit back in the 3rd inning, trying to take his time here. Spoils a pitch there to stay alive at 2 balls and 2 strikes. The 2-2. Fly ball down the right field line, foul and out of play. Ohio really needs to get something going here in the 7th. They did get 1 run back in the 6th after trailing by 3. They've gotten it down to 2. So they're in bloop and a blast distance. And they've got 8 outs to work with 1 gone here in the bottom of the 7th. And Fabik continues to spoil pitches here. He fouls that one out of play. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Fabik looks out. The 2-2. And missing maybe a touch low and a little outside. Now the count is full. Fabik working another good plate appearance. Back in the 3rd, he worked his way to a single after spoiling a couple pitches after being down 0-2. Trying to do the same here, maybe get a board courtesy of a walk or a hit. The count is full. Leo looks in for the sign, and indeed he will deliver. Ball 4, take your base. Fabik is aboard for the 2nd time today, and Ohio has a base runner with 1 gone in the bottom of the 7th. And the lineup turns over to Trevor Hafner, and more importantly, Rudy Rote. That big bat waits on deck. The Bobcats would love to get to him. But Trevor Hafner's got a dangerous bat, too. He bats only .232, but he's hit the ball hard a couple of times today. lined out in the first inning. He did go down looking on strikes in the fifth. 0 for 3. Fabic at first base. Short lead, leans back towards the first base bag. Hudson holds him on there. They play straight up everywhere else. The third baseman, Roach, is a touch toward the third base bag. But they play it straight up. Here's a little looper into right field. It'll drop in for a base hit. And now just moving station to station is Fabic. He goes from first to second, and now on at first base with that signal is Hafner. He didn't hit it very hard, but he just put it in the right spot. And the Bobcats have runners at first and second for their best hitter, Rudy Rote. And activity is happening in the Bronco bullpen. Rudy Rote hit an opposite field home run all the way back in the bottom of the third inning to give the Bobcats a 1-run lead. If he could do it again, first of all, that would be incredible because that would be 6 home runs in 6 games. And now they are going to bring in a left-hander from the bullpen, by the way. But it would be 6 home runs in 6 games. It would be 6 home runs in 8 days. And it would be 2 home runs in this game that got the Bobcats the lead. We'll let you know who the new Bronco pitcher is when we return from this 60-second pause. This is Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB. As the starter tomorrow, but pitches here. He will, I assume that this is, no matter what happens, the only batter he will face. He is listed as the probable starter for tomorrow, but he pitches here against Rudy Rote. The Bobcats' left-handed smash man. He hit a home run earlier today. First pitch swinging, fouls back a curveball to the screen for a strike. Oh and 1 to the left-handed hitting Rudy Rote, who faces the left-handed pitching Picata. Curveball, single into center field, base hit. This should score 1 for the Cats. Rounding third and heading to home is Fabic. They go to third base on the throw, but in there safely is Hafner, and he will stay on the bag there. An RBI single for Rudy Rote, and now it's 5-4. Well, he's doing some very good work, is Rudy Rote. That's another RBI for him, and time has been called here. And this will be a quick pitching change, I am fairly certain. They brought in Picata to be a left-handed specialist against Rudy. He was unable to get the out. and now they'll go back to the bullpen. We'll go for another 60-second pause. 5-4, Ohio within one. This is Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB. Do it. And he didn't even have to hit it that hard. He just lined it into center field for a base hit. RBI single, and now Ohio is one run away from tying this ball game, and they've got Tanner Picnic to the plate with runners on the corners and only one gone. It was the 7th hit for Ohio. The 4th run to cross. Western Michigan leads 5-4 in the bottom of the 7th inning. And there's a strike to Tanner Picnic. He's trying to change that line score, though. He is 0 for 2 today. He was hit by a pitch in the 6th inning, the only time he's reached. At first base is Rudy Rote. At third base, it is Hafner. Short leads for both. They play double play depth up the middle with one gone in the count at 0-1. The right-hander Reisinger looks in. He nods his head a couple of times. Now he delivers. That pitch misses outside, 1-1. Picnic didn't even think about lifting the bat off his shoulder on that one. Here comes the break-even pitch. That one misses outside. Now it's 2 balls and 1 strike. Two and 1. The pitch. Hard ground ball to third, gathered there. They go to second for 1. Unable to make the play is Devine. It was a wild throw by Roche. 1 run will score, and advancing on to third base because of the overthrow is Rudy Rote. It was a hot shot to the third baseman, Roche. He threw off balance to second base. They were trying to turn a 5-4-3 double play, and Devine couldn't get his glove on it and goes into right field. And a board because of the error, and a tie ball game because of it for Ohio. Picnic at first, Rudy Rote at third, and Hafner scores. It is 5-5. Here comes Michael Klein. The right-hander looks in, does Reisinger. The hitter now is Klein. First pitch to him, misses low, 1-0. One ball, no strikes to Klein. Runners are on the corners. 2 runs in. We have a tie ball game, 5-5. The pitch, hard grounder into the Bobcat dugout, and everybody hops out of the way of that one. Klein looks over there as if to say, first of all, is everybody all right? And then he laughs a touch. He roped that into the dugout. 1 ball and 1 strike. Klein hitting .221, .265 with runners in scoring position. Rudy Rote is the duck on the pond at third. Picnic is at first. The 1-1 to Klein. Curveball strike. And I think Klein's a little upset that he didn't take a hack at that one. It was an inside corner pitch. Caught the edge. 1-2. Giannini waits on deck. Devin Garcia is in the hole. Runners at first and third with 1 out. That double play still in effect. But so is the go-ahead run. It's Rudy Rote who waits at third base. The 1-2 delivery is coming from Reisinger. Flare down the right field line. It's going to get out of play. Fouled it off to the hill. Just trying to get the bat head on it. Stayed alive. One ball and 2 strikes to Michael Klein. He's trying to get that go-ahead run across the plate. Waiting at third base is Rudy Rote. 1-2 delivery from Reisinger. Ball low and away, and now the count is knotted up at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Just 1 gone for the Cats here in this inning. Playing pretty shallow in center field is Henderson, at least compared to what he's been playing most of the day. He's been playing pretty deep to that 405 line, but is playing a little bit shallower, trying to keep the ball in front of him and be able to get to it on a line. The 2-2. Ball outside. Could have been a called strike 3. Everybody looked at it for an extra moment. Klein hovered over the top of where that pitch was. The home plate umpire hovered over where that pitch was. The pitcher, Reisinger, and the catcher, Forstill, held it there for an extra moment. But it's called a ball, and the count is full. Runners on the corners. Full count delivery coming from Reisinger to Klein. Ball 4, take your base. The bases are loaded for Tony Giannini. And this Bobcat crowd has a chance to get into it a little bit. The Cats have tied the game 5-5, and now they're trying to take the lead. They've got a guy at the plate who can do it in the form of Tony Giannini. The bases are loaded. Tony G does not have a hit this season with the bases loaded. He'll try and change that line here. His average is now up to .255. He's struggled with runners in scoring position, though, batting only .133 with them aboard this season. But he had an RBI single in the 6th inning. A single here would likely score at least 2, but it would certainly score 1 from third. That pitch misses high, 1-0. Doesn't matter how you get aboard. If you just get aboard here, you'll score a run. 1 ball, no strikes. The bases are loaded for Tony G. Here comes the 1-0. There's a strike. Outside corner, and Reisinger looks into the home plate umpire as if to say, I would have liked to have gotten that a moment ago. It's 1-1 with 1 out and the bases loaded. Garcia is who waits on deck. Tony G is the hitter here. Taking his time on the mound is Reisinger. His ERA at 4.75 entering. The pitch, pop fly out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Tony Giannini looks out to the mound. Reisinger is set at the belt, peeks back to second base. The bags are packed with cats. Tony G watches this one miss outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes. Crowd thought that might be strike 3, but instead it was called a ball. It was outside. The 2-2. Tapper to second. Going to be tough to turn 2. They go 4-6-3. They cannot convert on the back end, so a runner scores, and the Cats have taken the lead. It was a high chopper to second base, fielded by Devine. He went on to short to Smith, and Smith just could not complete it on the back end. It was close, but Giannini was on his horse down that line, and a run scores. Ohio leads 6-5. It was a high chopper. A put out at second base of Michael Klein scores the run. Rudy Rote comes across, and Ohio leads 6-5, and they still have runners on the corners with 2 outs. Devin Garcia is the hitter now. Curveball for a strike, catches the outside corner, 0-1. McCauley is on deck in his shin guards, the Bobcat catcher. The hitter is Garcia. The 0-1 with 2 outs. And there's a hard ground ball to third, foul. Now it's no balls and 2 strikes. The 0-2. Set at the belt is Reisinger. Looks into Garcia. There it is. Missed high and away. Didn't miss by much, but he missed. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The 1-2, swing and a miss by Garcia. They'll have to put him out at first base, and indeed they are able to do so. But the Bobcats take the lead in the 7th. 6-5 is the score here as we head to the 8th. This is Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB. Hopefully he won't get in any here, though. The first batter that he faces with an Ohio 6-5 lead will be Blake Dunn, who is 3 for 3 today. He's been a part of this 5-6 combo that has really punched the Cats. Nate Grice was put out earlier. Here's a bunt. He puts it down. It's going to be a close play at first base, and he's safe. Fair ball. The ball didn't touch him, and that's a base hit for Dunn on a bunt, and he is 4 for 4 today. And him and Nate Grice, who bats in the 5-hole and was the last out of the 7th inning, are now a combined 7 for 8. Here comes Logan Hudson. Logan Hudson, the first baseman, 0 for 2 today. Sacrifice in the second, reached on an error in the fourth, was stranded at second, and grounded out to Tony Giannini, the third baseman, in the 5th inning. They played double play depth up the middle. This would be a nice time to turn another double play if you're the Cats. And Dan McCauley was able to pick this one in the dirt, 1-0. Thought for a moment possibly about a back pick over there at first base because it was a ginormous lead for Dunn, but he was back in there. 1-0. The smell of sunscreen in the air today, 80 degrees at the ballpark. Here comes the 1-0. That's a strike. Hudson, Devine, and Henderson are the Western Michigan men due up. They are hitless today, a combined 0 for 8 in the 7-8-9 hole of this Bronco lineup. Peek over at first base. Runner going. McCauley will fire down to second. Going to be close and in there safely. Indeed, safe at second base is done. It was a delayed call by our base umpire. That is Mark Schmidt who made the call there, but he is safe. And now there's a runner at second base with nobody out. So Camrata will have to work out of a jam now. Two balls and a strike. That pitch missed outside. Swing and a miss. 2 balls and 2 strikes. That was a fastball on the outside edge. Tough ball to catch up to for Camrata. Or for Hudson, I should say. Camrata, the pitcher. Two balls and 2 strikes with a runner on at second base. The Bobcats took the lead in the 7th with a 3 spot. They have put up 4 runs in the 6th and 7th. 1 in the 6th, 3 in the 7th. Camrata looks in, takes a peek back to second base, looks to third. Now here comes the 2-2. Line drive into center field, base hit. This will not score a run, though, as having to hold at third base is done. So it was lined into center field, and Dunn had to race back to second because the ball was behind him. And he thought that maybe the shortstop Hafner would have a play on it. And Hafner got dirty but wasn't able to make the play. And it's a base hit into center field. And after the Bobcats put up a 3 spot in the 7th, Camrata's come into the ball game, and all of a sudden, that 1-run lead is in jeopardy just only a few moments later with runners on the corners and nobody out. Time has been called, and Rob Smith will talk to Camrata. There is movement in the Bobcat bullpen. Jake Rowan is warming up. We will see if maybe Rob Smith will try and use him for a 2-inning save. There's nobody out in the 8th. Rob Smith looks to the bullpen, looks back to the mound, and now he'll just have a conversation with Camrata, and we'll see if a change is coming. Our home plate umpire, Jason Stidham, will break up this conversation. I believe Rob Smith might just be trying to stall as long as he can for Jake Rowan to be ready. And our home plate umpire is trying to break up this meeting, but Rob Smith is going to let it go as long as humanly possible. And there's a call to the bullpen. So that was a little bit of a stall tactic there by Rob Smith, and that's baseball for you. So a call to the bullpen. Jake Rowan will come in. We'll tell you about his numbers when we come back from this 60-second break. This is Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB. Holds the runner on at first base. It is Hudson there, done at third. Giannini is in on the edge of the grass in case something might be on. Rowan holds that wing out in front of his face as he tends to do so. Sprinting in right to get into position is the right fielder Klein, putting a suicide squeeze bunt down to tie the ball game. Indeed, a head-first slide at first base is by Devine, but he is out there, so it's a suicide squeeze play, a sacrifice RBI. We got a tie ball game 6-6, just like that. Ohio pretty much knew what was coming. It was just too well put down. It was popped up in the air a little bit, but it was put down on the right side, and Rowan actually just had to make a good play to even just get the out at first base on the head-first dive by Devine. That's a dangerous play. But the out is recorded there. Hudson safe at second. Dunn scores. We're all even up at 6-6. One gone in the top of the eighth. Trying to put a bunt down and whiffing there is Henderson. 0-1 to him. If you're curious who will hit in the Bobcat bottom of the eighth, it's the bottom of the order. 7, 8, 9. Dan McCauley, Aaron Levy, and Sebastian Fabic. The only one who's reached today is Fabic. He has a single and a walk. But the hitter now is Henderson. He is 0 for 3. The 9-hole hitter, the lineup will turn over with Connor Smith, who waits on deck. Here's the 0-1. That missed low. The pitch. That's a strike from Jake Rowan. He's ahead 1 ball and 2 strikes. Runner at second base is Hudson. 1 run in on the suicide squeeze play. After runners were on first and third, Hudson advanced to second on that play. Out was made at first base on a good play by Rowan as he pitched it on to Rudy Rote. Here's the 1-2. This is popped out of play. One ball and 2 strikes. Rowan holds that wing out in front of his face. He's set. The batter, Henderson, looks out to him, wiggles the bat out in front of the plate. Peek back to second base, now he fires. Popped up left side, may get out of play. Giannini takes a look, and it does get out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes. One ball, 2 strikes, runner at second base, and 1 gone. That pitch misses outside, and now it's 2 balls and 2 strikes from Rowan to Henderson. 6-6, 1 run scored for Western Michigan in the top of the 8th. They're out hitting the Bobcats 12-7, both teams with 2 errors. Rowan with a long look in. He wants to make sure he gets the right sign from McCauley, and now he'll step off. Big moment in the game as Ohio tries to keep this thing tied up. They worked hard to tie it with a run in the 6th and 3 in the 7th. But all it took was a couple of hard hit balls off of Camrata and then a suicide squeeze once Rowan came into the game. And just like that, Western Michigan had tied things back up at 6. Rowan looks in again. He's towed the rubber. Long look in. Comes set. Peeks to second. Fires 2-2. Slider that missed low and in. Count is full at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Three balls and 2 strikes. 1 out, runner at second base. Here's the pitch. And that's a swing and a foul ball off of McCauley, and he's in some pain, and time has been called. And our home plate umpire, Jason Stidham, will trot out to the mound to talk, and this is going to end up being a trainer call because McCauley got hit hard by that foul ball off of his wrist, and he collects himself quickly. He sends the trainer right back to the dugout. Our home plate umpire, Stidham, is going to give him as much time as he needs, though, as he should. Going to get some fresh balls from the dugout. And now, with a full count at 3 balls and 2 strikes, we'll be ready back to go in a moment, as our home plate umpire will now do a courtesy wipe-off of home plate as well. That's good stuff right there. The count is full at 3 balls and 2 strikes. Here is the 3-2. That pitch misses outside, and that's ball 4, and it goes all the way to the backstop. McCauley wasn't able to get his glove on it at all, and so now there's runners on the corners. So now after the walk, there's runners on the corners again. And now time has been called by Rob Smith, and he wants to have a conversation with Jake Rowan and his infield. And this has been an agonizing top of the 8th inning. This has been a long while. So this is a mound visit between Rob Smith and Jake Rowan, and he's got another guy warming up in the bullpen. I would find it hard to believe that he would make a pitching change from Jake Rowan right now. You got a tie ball game 6-6. He looks okay. I mean, he hasn't looked great, don't get me wrong, and a runner has scored, but it hasn't looked that bad. But with Rob Smith, you don't ever really know what's going to happen, to be completely honest. And this conversation is concluded, so Rowan will remain in the game, and he will face the shortstop Connor Smith as the lineup has turned over. And that's probably a part of why this discussion takes place. You've got the lineup turning over. You've got Connor Smith, who I said earlier he normally gets his own. Well, so far today he's 0 for 4. He's due. Arguably, he's due. And if Rowan can set him down to be 0 for 5, that would be some impressive stuff. But this is a guy who's normally going to get a hit 1 out of every 3 times, or at least a board. And he's yet to be aboard today at all. That misses inside, low, 1-0. Rudy Rote was crashing in as if to play the bunt. The bunt was not on. 1 ball and no strikes. Western Michigan likes to bunt. Bunting is a large part of Mid-American Conference baseball. There is no doubt about that. It plays quite the role. Rudy Rote crashing in again, swing and a miss. 1 ball and a strike. Doesn't look like he's bunting, but Rudy's ready for it if he does. He's holding the runner at first base. That's Henderson there. Hudson is at third. Tony Giannini plays in on the grass at third base. One and one with 1 out. Rudy Rote crashing in again. There's a foul ball back to the screen. It's 1 ball and 2 strikes. And it appears that really the reason they're having Rudy Rote crash so abruptly is to try and force Connor Smith to swing the bat. Because you can't really bunt up that first baseline with Rudy crashing like that unless you somehow get it past him. You're not going to score a run. Rudy might have a play on the lead runner at second. So you'd have to put down a perfect bunt down the third baseline. Fake 3-1, nothing happening. Dangerous play. You never know when a home plate umpire might call a balk on that. You got to do it well to not be called. 1 ball and 2 strikes. The 1-2. Fouled back to the screen. Smith really just missed that pitch off the end of his bat. And so now it's still 1 ball and 2 strikes. 6-6 tie ball game. We are in the waning moments of this one, and needless to say, it's been a day. The leads have changed a few times. But now it's all tied up now. Runner going, 1-2, and no throw, and the pitch missed low. Dan McCauley with a fake throw down. The runner held at third. So now there's runners at second and third, and it appeared for a moment that that might be a called strike 3, but it dropped low, did a changeup from Jake Rowan, and now it's 2 balls and 2 strikes. The hitter is Connor Smith. He's 0 for 4 today, but he's batting .339 on the season. That's his new average. This is a guy who gets on base quite regularly. He's normally pretty dangerous with the bat. Here comes the 2-2. Did he go? He did not. The count is full, 3 balls and 2 strikes. It was a fastball high. He almost went around, but held up. The count's full with 1 out. Runners are at second and third. Jake Rowan trying to get out of a jam in the top of the 8th inning, tied 6-6. This one is fouled back to the screen, and Connor Smith just continues to battle. He's 0 for 4 today, but he's been a nasty one to get rid of. Struck out in the first, grounded out to third in the third, lined out hard in the 5th, and grounded out hard in the 6th. Bobcats led by 1 when this inning started. Now it's a tie ball game as 1 run is across. Jake Rowan will try and hold the tie. This one is fouled out of play. The count will stay full. The battle continues. And we get a fresh set of baseballs from the Bobcat dugout because of it, as quite a few have been going out of play. Three-two with 1 out. Rowan looks in. The delivery to Smith. Popped it up, back of home, out of play. Thought for a moment it would be up the elevator shaft, but it went over the top of us all, and the count is still full. And Connor Smith and Jake Rowan are having a battle for the ages right now. Rowan tumbles the ball back behind his hip. Time has been called. He'll continue to do so. He doesn't leave the rubber. Keeps his wing up as Smith steps out of the box. Now he steps back in. That's a little intimidating. 3-2 with 1 out. The delivery from Rowan. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. Connor Smith goes down for the 5th time today, the 2nd time on strikes. And one of the most dangerous bats in this lineup has been kept hitless, and that was a huge moment right there to keep this game tied with 2 outs. But Jake Rowan still has to get through Andrew Stone, the left-handed hitting designated hitter. He bats .306. He is 2 for 4 today. He singled in the 1st and scored a run, singled in the 7th and was stranded at first base. Two outs. He winds and delivers. This pitch misses outside. 1 ball and no strikes. Runners at 2nd and 3rd, 2 outs. Rowan trying to get out of this 8th inning jam. The Cats put up a 3-spot in the 7th to take a 1-run lead. Western Michigan stole that lead away, tied it up 7-7. Here's a hard-hit ground ball to first base, fielded by Rudy Rote, goes to the bag and gets the out. The Bobcats work out of a jam. Jake Rowan comes in and strands 2. That was a huge performance from the bullpen for Jake Rowan. 6-6 as we head to the bottom of the 8th. This is Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB. Squeeze, and we've got a 6-6 ball game in the bottom of the 8th inning. The first pitch to Dan McCauley is in there for a strike. 0-1 to him. Here comes the 0-1. And that one bounces in the dirt. It's 1 ball and 1 strike. The 1-1. Ground ball to third base. He smashed it over there. Long throw. Play is made by Roche at third. There was a good pick on the back end by Hudson. And there's one gone in the Bobcat bottom of the eighth. Here's Aaron Levy. One gone in the bottom of the eighth. Aaron Levy is the hitter. First pitch swinging, high chopper to first base. Fielded there by Hudson, and now covering the bag is Reisinger for the out. Two gone. Just like that for the Cats. It's been a quick bottom of the eighth with two gone very quickly. And I would think that Rob Smith would tell Sebastian Fabic to take a pitch here after a couple of first pitch outs. So here is Sebastian Fabic. He bats with nobody on and two outs in the bottom of the eighth. It's been a quick bottom of the eighth so far. 5:08 p.m. First pitch was at 2. We've had a pretty lengthy ball game. First pitch, strike. So at least the Bobcats will see more than 3 pitches this inning. The 0-1. That misses low and away. 1 ball and 1 strike. The 1-1 is in there for a strike, catches the outside corner. Now it's 1 ball and 2 strikes to Sebastian Fabic, and the Bobcats are in jeopardy of going 1-2-3 here in the bottom of the 8th inning. They led 6-5 when we entered the 8th, but Western Michigan was able to suicide squeeze a run across in the 8th inning. In the top of the 8th. Here comes the 1-2 to Fabic. He holds up wisely on a ball that's outside. Now it's deuces across the board. 2 balls, 2 strikes, and 2 outs. Here's a pop fly, right center field with some carry. The center fielder, Henderson, will call off Dunn in the right center field gap. And the Bobcats go 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 8th. We head to the 9th. What's going to happen here? It's been eventful to this point, 6-6 as we head to 9. This is Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB. 1, 2, 3 batters. So that's not a bad thing to have coming up if you're going to have to hit in the bottom of the ninth. We're just going to see what the score is when we get there. The hope, of course, is that it's still tied 6-6. But first, Jake Rowan has got to get through the 3, 4, 5 hitters of this Western Michigan lineup. And Jimmy Roach will start things off. That's a strike on the outside edge, 0-1. That's not a bad start in the top of the ninth inning after an eventful top of the eighth. Here's the 0-1, and this is a fly ball to right. It's going to be playable, and underneath it is Michael Klein, and there's one gone. So Jake Rowan with an uneventful out number 1 to start the top of the ninth inning. Here is Jesse Forstill. Forstill bats from the left side, faces the Bobcat closer, Jake Rowan. This is obviously not a save opportunity, but it is an opportunity to get a win for Rowan, as it's tied 6-6. He's trying to go 2 innings of relief. The 1-0, that's a strike on the inside corner, 1 ball and 1 strike. The 1-1, that misses in the right-handed batter's box, so outside of the left-handed hitting Forstill, and now it's 2 balls and a strike. Here comes the 2-1. High drive to right, carrying back towards the wall, into the corner, and by the bullpen and crashing into the wood and making the play is Michael Klein. That's going to hurt, but he made an incredible play for out number 2. Michael Klein went crashing in to the bullpen down the right field line, the Bronco bullpen to make the play up against the wood, and that is out number 2, and Rob Smith will trail the trainer to go and greet him in right field with the hopes that he's going to be able to stay in this ball game. He hit that wood wall pretty hard, and the first base umpire, Jeffrey Spisak, went out there as well. And with him running off so quickly, that's normally a good sign. Our trainer will take a peek at Michael Klein here, though. Here's to hoping that he can remain in the ball game. That was an incredible play in right field for out number 2. There are 2 gone in the top of the ninth inning. And for Michael Klein, really what's so incredible about that play is just the fact that you knew there was space to catch the baseball. There was not space for him to catch the baseball and not crash into that wood wall. So it was going to be either catch it and hit that wall or give up on it. And Michael Klein made the decision to go into the wall and make the play. And for a guy who's dealt with some injuries this season, that is a pretty selfless play when you're in a tie ball game in the ninth inning and you know every out's going to count no matter what. And he makes the play. He's going to stay in the ball game. He's going to run out. And Rob Smith and the Bobcat trainer will take one last look at him. But I believe Michael Klein wants to stay in and will stay in, and indeed he will. But he took a shot into that wood wall down the right field line by the bullpen and made an incredible play in foul territory. So he's good enough to stay in. Hopefully he's good enough that that's not going to be an issue moving forward. And there are 2 gone after an incredible play by Michael Klein down the right field line for out number 2 in the top of the ninth inning. The hitter now is Nate Grise. He homered back in the 4th. He also doubled in the 2nd and singled in the 5th. He's a triple away from the cycle. He struck out in the 7th inning. Jake Rowan is ready to go. He threw a couple of warm-up pitches. The pitch. Swing and a miss. No balls and 1 strike. With 2 gone, that pitch misses outside. It's 1-1. Hafner wrote and Picnic do up for the Cats. If Rowan can get through this, that was a nice pitch. It was high, but it had some incredible break to it that shook Nate Grice in his boots. Missed high and inside, 2 balls and a strike. That pitch misses low and away. Three balls and 1 strike. Rowan looks in, fires. That pitch misses inside, so it turns into a walk. And now Western Michigan has 1 runner on with 2 outs in the top of the 9th inning. Tied 6-6. You're listening to Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB. This has been a very entertaining ball game so far. We've had numerous lead changes in this game. 7 to be exact. The score is tied 6-all at the moment. Western Michigan out hitting the Bobcats 12-7, both teams with 2 errors in the field. That's a ball low, 1-0. So Grice works a walk, and now Dunn will hit. This has been the portion of the order that has done the most damage today. The 5 and 6 hitters of Western Michigan's lineup. Grice and Dunn are a combined 7 for 8 with a walk. Runner going. McCauley with a throw down. He goes left of the bag and safe in there. Had it been to the right of the bag, they would have had him. But instead, in safely at second base with a stolen base is Nate Grice, and he represents the go-ahead run with 2 outs. That's a strike. It's 1-1. Jake Rowan puts that wing out in front of his face. Pitches from the stretch. The 1-1 with 2 outs. There's a fly ball out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Blake Dunn is 4 for 4 today. 2 singles, a double, and a single. Fly ball out of play. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Wing out in front of the face for Jake Rowan. Runner at second, 2 gone. 1-2. The hitter is Blake Dunn, 4 for 4 today. Jake Rowan trying to put him out in the moment that matters most. Here's the 1-2, misses outside and a touch low. And now it's deuces across the board. 2 balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. A runner at second base and a tie ball game. The hitter is Blake Dunn. Where's the number 1? Never stepped out of the batter's box. He's ready to go. Rowan tumbles the ball back behind his back hip. Wing in front of his face. Looks for the sign. Now he comes set at his belt. Checks back to second. Peeks in and fires. Here's a ground ball, right side, going to get through the hole. This is going to be a close play at home plate. Klein with the throw, and he is safe. It was a close play. Dan McCauley had the ball into his mitt, protected home plate. I don't know if the runner ever got there because McCauley was guarding home plate, but our home plate umpire Stidham says he got in there before the tag was applied, and indeed he did. 7-6. Western Michigan has taken the lead. Michael Klein, after crashing into the wall in the corner in right field, making an incredible play for the second out, had to come up firing there on that base hit into right field. It wasn't hit considerably hard, and Michael Klein came in charging, and there is the go-ahead run for Western Michigan. And unfortunately, it appears that will be what will run Jake Rowan from this ball game. It's going to be a call to the bullpen. 7-6 is the score. Western Michigan has taken the lead in the top of the 9th inning. Jake Rowan was just a smidge off from getting out of this 9th inning. He was tasked with a lot of work. He had to come in the 8th with runners on the corners and try and get through 2 innings of work, and he just couldn't do it today as 2 runs score under his watch, 1 of those earned. We'll let you know who the new pitcher is after this 60-second pause. This is Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB. Adam Rich back in our WOUB studios. New pitcher for the Bobcats is Eddie Cutt. And Eddie Cutt will enter with a runner at first base in a game where the Bobcats have come back. And then Western Michigan has come back on them. The Cats have clawed the way back into the lead or back into a tie a couple of occasions, and now Western Michigan has snatched it right back. Eddie Cutt with a throw over to first base, and nothing going over there. Cutt 3.97 ERA this season. This is his 25th appearance. He's gone 45 innings, struck out 38, and walked 16. Opponents are hitting .279 against him. Runner is going. That was a high fastball. They might have him. They do. He's out at second base. They get the runner who was going in the form of Dunn. But one run comes across in the top of the ninth. That means Ohio will need 1 to tie and 2 to win in the bottom of the ninth inning. This is Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB. And he's got his rally cap on at 30,000 feet. So Russ Eisenstein trying to bring the Bobcats to victory, even 30,000 feet up in the air. We hope you are too. Thanks so much for listening. We head to the bottom of the ninth, 7-6. The lead for Western Michigan as Ohio tries to claw back. There have been plenty of lead changes today. There are numbers aplenty up on that big board in the left center field gap here at the Wren. 7 runs, 12 hits, 2 errors for Western Michigan. 6 runs, 8 hits, and 2 errors for the Cats. I've said it once, and I'll say it again, but it's pretty tough to win a baseball game when you get out hit. But the Bobcats have put themselves in a position where they could do that, and we'll see what happens here. Andrew Reisinger will continue to pitch for Western Michigan, and it doesn't appear that he's going to have any help from the pen. First pitch swinging, pop-up right side, back of the bag at first base, and underneath it is the first baseman, Hudson, in foul ground, and he makes the play. So there is one gone on one pitch. Trevor Hafner down there. It's the Bobcat top of the order. Rudy Rote has already gone yard once today. He also had the RBI that gave the Bobcats the tie in the 7th inning. Eventually, the Bobcats were able to take the lead. It lasted only that half an inning. But if Rudy Rote could do a big fly once again, have a multi-homer game for the second time in as many games, we'd have a tie ball game. Reisinger looks in. He winds and delivers. This pitch misses outside, 1-0. Rudy Rote today, a strikeout in the first, a home run that went 378 feet just over the top of the wall that surrounds the ballpark here in the 3rd inning. Grounded out in the 5th and an RBI single back in the 7th. Swing and a miss over the top of a breaking pitch. He's even the count, and 1 ball and a strike has Reisinger. Here comes the break-even pitch to Rudy Rote with 1 gone. And that's a strike, a fastball over the outside corner. And now Rudy Rote is down, 1 ball and 2 strikes. He looks back to the home plate umpire, Jason Sidham, to check where it was. He's going to tell him it caught the outside corner because indeed it did. Waiting on deck is Tanner Picnic. The Bobcats are down to 4 strikes as of this moment. And the 1-2 bounces in the dirt, so it's evened up again at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Rudy Rote 2 for 4 today. trying to add a third hit here, at least get on and bring the go-ahead run to the plate. But the Bobcats do have the tying run at home plate right now in the form of Rudy Rote. Here's the 2-2. Here's a ground ball chopper right side. Going to be a tough play for Hudson at first base. That is a Bob Wren hop if I've ever seen one. Rudy Rote is safe because of a back-of-the-bag hop at first base that ate up Hudson, and Rudy Rote is aboard with one gone. So the Bobcats will bring the go-ahead run to the plate in the bottom of the ninth inning in the form of Tanner Picnic. And because of that hop, they will score that as single, which honestly, if you saw it in person, you would agree with it. It was going right to Hudson the whole way, took a huge high hop, and then it just died in front of him and then took another odd hop. That's what the Wren will do to you. And actually, they've changed the scoring on that and made it an error. It definitely could have gone either way. They put up a hit first, but then go error now. But Rudy Rote is aboard. That's really all Bobcat fans should be concerned with, is that the go-ahead run is at the plate. The first pitch to Tanner Picnic is in the dirt. It's in the left-handed batter's box, and it's 1-0. And now time has been called, and with activity picking up in the Western Michigan bullpen, there was none at the start of this inning. As soon as the first batter was completed, so one out was registered, activity picked up in that Western Michigan bullpen. Had a feeling that Reisinger wasn't going to be able to get through the entirety of this ninth inning because he has now gone a total of 2 innings of work out of the pen. He has faced 9 batters, and that first pitch was enough for his head coach. This is a call to the bullpen. Let's take a 60-second pause. We'll let you know who the new Bronco pitcher is after this break. This is Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB. Hop at first base that puts Rudy Rote aboard here in the bottom of the ninth inning for the Cats. So the tying run is at first base, the go-ahead run to the plate. Picnic hitting, he will have a 1-0 count once we get back going again. Pitching change for Billy Jernan. And he has gone ahead and called on right-handed Jimmy Townsend Chase from Hillsdale, Michigan, the right-handed senior. Townsend Chase this season enters with a 5.26 earned run average. This is his 22nd appearance. He has 6 saves. He will try and register one here as he tries and holds down that closer role, which it looks like is de facto his. But that 5.26 ERA looks good to the Cats. 232 batting average against, 42 strikeouts, 25 walks in 37 and 2/3 innings. He faces Tanner Picnic. The count is 1-0 as we get back going. Rudy Rote gets back to the bag at first base. And now Picnic will step back in. Picnic looks out to Townsend Chase. The 1-0. Swing and a miss. Picnic was swinging at the first pitch he saw, and now he's down 1-1. Or I should say the count is even at 1-1. Waiting on deck is Michael Klein. Took that tough spill, crashing into the wall, making a great grab. in the last half inning, and then just didn't have enough on a throw to the plate, which is what led to Western Michigan taking the lead. There's a swing and a miss there. Now it's down 1 ball and 2 strikes. So once again, the Cats are down de facto to their final 4 strikes in this ball game. Townsend Chase comes set just below his chin. The 1-2, this is fisted, and it's going to be snagged by the second baseman in the air, and Rudy Road is back to the bag at first base quickly enough. So not a double play to end it. It was just fisted off the hands of Picnic to second base in the air, and Rudy Road had a good read on the ball that was going to get snagged. So he was back to the bag at first base quickly. Devine with a nice play at second. And now here comes Michael Klein, and Ohio is down to their final out. Ohio trying to do whatever they can to get a win in this series opener. They have played with some serious fight in this game. It has been a lead change extravaganza. Michael Klein tips the first pitch into the mint for strike 1. He tried to check his swing, but foul tipped it. Townsend Chase looks in. He comes set. The 0-1, runner at first base, 2 outs in the 9th inning. Ground ball to short. They're going to go the short way for the victory, 6-4. Connor Smith to Devine, covering the bag at second base for a fielder's choice put out to end things here. And it was a fun one, but the Bobcats fall 7-6. The final line score in this one, 7 runs, 12 hits, 3 errors for Western Michigan. Ohio, 6 runs, 8 hits, and 2 errors. We'll take a 2-minute pause, and then we'll break this one down for you. This is Bobcat Baseball on 1340 WOUB.